Do you smell what
MIRAI
is cooking?
MIRAI
Says,
MIRAI
says,
MIRAI
says,
MIRAI
says.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody inside and outside of the gender spectrum, and welcome back to Stardom Quest, the best weekly Stardom podcast anywhere in the world. I'm, as always, Alex, and I'm joined by Dylan. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everybody. Happy 150th episode, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again for probably like the 140th time because I've missed a lot of episodes. But yeah, we made it to 150.
Yeah,
It's insane.
I feel like we're more, we've pointed this out more than we did passing 100, which is a weird,
Yeah, you know what?
like,
We
landmark.
like accidentally passed 100.
Yeah,
Like we were like, oh shit, it was 100. Oh, today's the 100. Oh, whereas this, it's like, damn, we're at 150. That's crazy.
yeah, and I'm very surprised. I guess it's because 150 means essentially 3 years, and that's just, it's pretty
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Which also it roughly is because first show we ever did was the first day of the or not the G1, the 5-star in 2020. That was the first review we ever did. So like beginning of 5-star season is kind of just our milestone
Yeah.
minute type of thing. So yeah, it's crazy. I know we are talking more about this than we did about 100, but I think a part of that is because there were times where Stardom got a little rocky. We were like, "Are we ending the show?"
Yeah.
But no, I'm very happy we continued and we got to this huge landmark because this is like one of the highlights of my week. It's probably the highlight of my week every week because I enjoy um talking about my favorite wrestling company with one of my favorite people to talk to, one of my bestest friends, Alex Richards. I love you, buddy.
That's great. You're great.
I'm being sweet.
You're
I'm being
great.
sweet.
I'm not great. You're great. But yeah. All right. Yeah. I we
I choked him up. Do you hear this? Do you hear this? I made him choke up.
I don't know what to say.
What a loser.
I'm just like, oh god. Oh dear. But yeah, we really picked a great time to start the show because that second half of 2020 was a wild time. His company was something else. It's like a fever
You
dream
know,
to look back on.
I hate listening to our audio from that point,
Mm,
but I feel like I need to because
No.
I don't remember that. Like, I don't remember 2020 in terms of wrestling, like at all. I remember the things that happened because I've like gone over it, but like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've talked about it a million times. I don't remember anything from the 2025 star except for like 2 bad matches. Like I don't remember anything good from it.
I think that's because
I'm sure I
it
liked
wasn't very
something.
good, quite frankly. But they belted up Utami in the most dead Sendai show of all time, and
Hmm.
it was like, are you sure? Was this on purpose? Um, yeah, what a weird half year that was, because shit was just happening, and we were just like, what is
Yeah.
going on? Yeah, looking back on it now, you're just like, how did anybody get through this at all? Yeah, we stuck with it. We're here. We love Stardom again. Stardom loves us. That's a big thing. Everybody got unblocked by Stardom. I always knew.
Yes.
Sonny, you are a real one. Other people lost faith in Sonny, but I never did. He was always the good brother, and he unblocked me, and all is well. Sonny, if you're out there,
Did you
you're a
get
real one.
blocked slash unblocked by the
I
Japanese
never
Twitter
actually that one
ever?
never blocked me. No.
See, I got blocked by them and I'm still not unblocked.
Oh,
So like I miss all like the good stuff and I'm very upset about it. But yes, I am very happy that I got unblocked because now I can just look for pictures without having to go into an incognito
yeah.
tab. Um like just like old pictures of Stardom because they posted them on the Twitter a lot back in the day, especially. Now I could just get those pictures and not have to like jump through hoops. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. I have a cookie here and I have a monster here. I'm a
Oh,
cookie
God
monster. You know
bless.
how it is back in the day. Yeah,
Throwback.
we still at it. But yeah, we all got unblocked by at least the English Twitter. I think me and Velke at least didn't get unblocked by the Japanese Twitter, because we are just so terrible uh, that the Japanese Twitter does not want to deal with
That is
us.
valid.
But yeah,
Yeah, so this show is brought to you by the 5 Star Network. Head on over to 5starnetwork.co for all of the articles and podcasts and everything else on the great world of wrestling. Dylan is quite involved in the 5 Star thing now. Scott obviously runs it and he's
mm,
great. You are forcing me onto your show soon, the No Limits show,
yes.
so you'll get even more of me and Dylan, but with Xavier thrown into the mix. And Xavier, if you think we're bad,
Oh yeah,
Xavier is cracked out of his mind. So it's gonna be a very interesting show.
and it's gonna be a show. It's gonna be the first show that like you play third wing, because usually, like even when we have a guest, even when I host the show, you're always at least the number two. Like you're never like the third
Yeah,
man type of thing. Like, do you get what I'm
yeah.
trying to say? That's the first time ever that you like just get to like kind of chirp in, uh, and just like pick your spots of when you want to
It's
talk,
gonna be great.
which is always kind of the case. But yeah,
Yeah, and that might happen again because we have another appearance coming up soon. That
yes,
I don't know.
yes,
I won't say it, but we have another one, and you will probably do most of the talking because you like talking, and I'm not hosting it, so it's
I do
great.
like talking.
But anyway, keep your eyes peeled for more from me and Dylan. On to the world of Stardom because holy shit, has it been 7 days? Um, I think it's very apt that this is the 150th episode because in all 150 episodes, I don't think I have ever uttered a phrase as absurd as this. Utami Hayashishita is working Game Changer Wrestling. Not once, not
Against
twice, but 3
Lufisto.
times. She has 3 scheduled dates with Game Changer Wrestling. And no, she didn't leave Stardom. Like this isn't. She didn't fall out with Rossi and hates him. Like I know that's a popular thing that happens sometimes, but she does not hate Rossi. She is still with Stardom, and she is working Game Changer Wrestling, and that is absurd.
As far as I know, Stardom did facilitate the
Yes.
bookings of this. Again, as far as I know, as far as my sources. So it is like a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a company to company type of thing. Excuse me. Not so much a Utami is doing a Maki Ito type of thing, which is what I think most people were
Mm.
scared of more than like, oh, she's just like it's just like, oh, she's she's like leaving, but she doesn't want to say she's leaving. So she's just like kind of dipping her toes. Like, no, I think this is a very stardom centric move more than anything. You could see on the schedule that they have all the GCW shows like, oh, these are shows that
Yeah.
Utami's going to be in. It's kind of crazy to see big ass extreme birthday bash
Yeah.
on a stardom schedule. Um, Real funny
Very.
though, so shout out to them. And yeah, the matches look good. You want to
Yeah,
run them
so her
down?
first match, which is this Saturday, is against Billy Starks. And obviously, a lot of people know Billy Starks from either Ring of Honor or TJPW. She's pretty good. She's just come along really, really well.
Yeah,
On Sunday,
she'll only continue to get better the more she
yes,
works JC
definitely.
wrestlers.
On Sunday, which I think is a free show, JCW airs on YouTube usually, right?
I have never seen a JCW show. I'm a keep it.
Okay, because I think JCW is like the we're throwing shit out there and it's on YouTube brand. And
Mhm.
on that, she's wrestling Janai Kai,
Which
which is
that
really
show,
cute because.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, yeah. So Janai Kai is notably a huge Kagetsu fan, and
Yes.
obviously a Kagetsu trained Utami Hayashishita. So this is probably really, really cool for Janai Kai. And so I'm really happy for her,
Janai Kai is
and
also just a
she's really good.
huge, just Stardom fan in general. I like
Yes, that too. Yeah.
I still remember she posted a picture of like her marking out, getting to like hang out with Starlight Kid and Izumi, and she had to take it down because it implied that Starlight Kid and Izumi were in the same place at the same time. Um,
Oh yeah.
but she was like super excited. She's like, "Oh my fucking god!" And I was like, "That's awesome." Also, that JCW show for anybody who likes male wrestling at all, they have Mao versus Mike Bailey, which is Moonlight
Oh.
Express. Insane match. Like that match should genuinely be one of the if it gets time and all that, it should be one of the best male matches in the US Indies this year. Because they are both absolutely insane. I'm super excited for that. Them putting that on the JCW show is just absurd to me. Um but yeah, that sounds really good as well. So that show you might want to stay tuned for both the Utami Janai Kai match, which sounds incredible, but also that match because uh, as somebody who watches both of those guys, they're both incredible. They have insane chemistry as a tag team, and I'm excited to see them wrestle one on one.
Definitely. And then the last match she's doing for GCW is on the 15th, I think, and it is against V Lufisto. Love Lufisto, a trailblazer,
Yeah.
a legend of the independent wrestling scene, deserves all of her flowers. Ridiculous how nobody has signed her yet. She's fantastic, and her and Utami is going to be really great. So 3 really fun matches, which is really all you could ask for. Because yeah, when it was first announced, I was like, are we sure? You know, GCW, it's a bit like, because they're hit and miss. GCW, like
Yeah.
they've got some really great stuff, and then they have some really really not great
I
stuff.
mean that ninth show looks terrible, quite frankly. Outside of
Yes, yeah,
Utami and Billy, it's like even for somebody who like I'll give GCW props when they have a good show. It looks like one of their worst shows. Like it
yeah,
just does not look good. Um, but yeah, I mean, and they like to do that sort of thing. You know what I mean? I mean, look at who Kota Ibushi's first real match was against, right?
yeah.
Look at who they put a lot of women against. Uh,
Mhm.
the cat type of thing. Um, I think they knew that this was a bit bigger than that,
Yeah.
and that they couldn't do that without getting a lot of hate on I'll say on Alley Cat or Alley Catch. I'm just gonna call her Alley Cat. I don't really care. And I don't think Alley Cat is like bad enough to where like everybody should despise her and like shit on her. She's just not that good, and I would prefer if I prefer these 3 matches to that type of thing. So
It's,
they were
it's
smart with who they picked. The only exclusion is Masha, who is pretty protected in GCW. So I get
yeah.
them not wanting to put her in there with Utami, but that's the only match that's missing from these 3. These 3 are pretty much the 3 I wanted to see. Didn't even think Lufisto was like an option, but
No,
fuck,
yeah. She just
give
came
me
out of
Lufisto.
nowhere.
I'm cool. I still remember the story of Kevin Steen and El Generico being like, I don't want to win the CZW belt. This place sucks. And then Zandig's like, well, what are we going to do? And they're both like, Lufisto, give it to her. And she's like, what? Okay. And so she won the GCW or the CCW belt, and I find that super funny. Um, it's one of my favorite Lufisto stories. If you guys want to
She's got a
know.
lot. She's had a quite a career.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a great 3 match run, and definitely turned things around. Because yeah, when they first announced the GCW thing, I was very unsure of it, but I quickly got on board when I realized how annoyed AEW fans were about it.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as AEW fans were like, "Oh, so you get GCW over the great, glorious Tony Khan? You deserve this." And me being my petty self, because listen, pettiness is great. Don't let anybody ever tell you being petty is weak. It is the best power you can have. It is the most fun, entertaining shit ever. So out of pure spite, I was like, actually, GCW is great. Like within minutes, I was like, screw you, screw Tony Khan. GCW is great, and Utami there is great. And thankfully, they have backed up my pettiness, so I
Yeah.
have been allowed to take a
If they
victory
didn't,
lap.
you would have had to suffer through that.
Yeah, listen,
Um,
we just would have ignored it, but I won, so I get the victory lap.
but yeah, I mean, and another thing is, so we could briefly talk about the potential of an AEW appearance. I don't see it happening, but if it did, this is what I would do. I would put Riho and Utami on Rampage in a tag team, and
Yeah,
have them wrestle like
why not?
Emmy and someone. You
Because it
know,
will be
like just like
Rampage. Like
yes. I mean, give and that's the best case scenario, honestly, because Rampage has become a thing where it gets the Vikingo spots.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like even though she's not champion, Utami could use a Vikingo spot, and there would be no issue,
Mhm.
type of thing. Like if they just put the wrestlers that's like, oh well, I'm not going to put Vikingo in this long-term rivalry with somebody on AEW TV because he's not available all the time. So I'll just put him in a crazy match on Rampage, and he almost always delivers on Rampage. He's like a must-see aspect of Rampage. So if that just became what Rampage is just putting wrestlers from around the world who come and do a tour, or just come and want to do a show and just put them on Rampage, more power to him. I think that would be cool, and I think a tag with her and Rio uh, would be like a pop for me.
Yes.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I would find it fun. I'm sure they both would enjoy it. You know, they obviously had great chemistry when they were both in Stardom together. So like that's the most I could see them doing of AEW with Utami,
Yeah.
and
Well, it's not
like
only
that's all I
I
really
don't I didn't
want.
say I didn't say it would be Rampage to be spiteful. I meant it would be Rampage because the women's matches for the main show is already booked with the tournament.
That too.
Like
Yeah.
they aren't running a second match just for Utami. So it's gonna be Rampage or Ring of Honor. Um, so I
Which I
like.
don't think they can do Ring of Honor because they tape that on Saturdays,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
she's
true.
booked
Yeah,
up
yeah.
on Saturday.
Oh yeah. Well
Yeah.
then,
So
screw that. Then yeah,
it would
it's
be
Rampage.
Rampage. It would
Yeah.
be Rampage.
Okay. Well, we'll know later today, I guess, if she's there or next week. I
No,
don't really
yeah,
know
it'd probably be
her
next week.
schedule, but yeah, that's Utami going abroad. As you said, Stardom facilitated this. They didn't offer her to just GCW, so I wonder if in the future they're going to do more of this, especially in the GP with people having weeks off. Will they be like, hey, do you want to use Giulia? Do you want to use this woman? Do you want to use that woman? Because maybe, like, I don't know what their plan is with sending them abroad, unless they're just like, hey, you're gonna pay us a bunch of money to book our wrestlers. Go ahead. Which could be it. You never know. They might just be charging ridiculous money for Utami, and that's how they're gonna send the wrestlers abroad to make more money. But yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see if this is the start of
I will
something.
say one more thing just regarding Utami, and like we'll get into it when we talk about like why she's going over storyline wise. Um, she is one of the people that I guess we kind of forgot really wants to work in America. Not like move to America, work in America, but like she's been wanting to work over here for a while. If you remember, she teased a match with Abaddon.
Yeah.
That was how desperate she was to get a match in America.
Hmm.
Is that she teased a match with at that time still AEW Dark like Abaddon. Like this wasn't when she was on TV. Like Abaddon was firmly like occasionally on AEW Dark and that's it. And Utami's like, shit, I'll fucking wrestle you, sure. Like that was the level that we were at. Uh, so she, similarly to Giulia, has been wanting to work overseas for a while, and she just happens to be the first person to kind of get the go ahead. That's not an English speaker
Yeah.
like a Mina or a Momokogo.
Valid. That's a good point. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes because it could be a new change for everybody. Um, the next place to go is probably the most obvious. Earlier today, Giulia won the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. She beat Willow Nightingale in a great match. I watched it about as close to
Yes.
live as you can get, and it was great. And it wasn't great in the the Joshi wrestler was amazing and the other wrestler was okay. Willow was great. Like she really.
You want to see Willow in Japan
Yes.
more. Like that's what the match made it. You know what I mean?
Like Willow, if Tony Khan is doing backflips after seeing that and planning to give her the world, he's a dumb man. And if Rossi isn't doing backflips trying to book her, he's a dumb man. She put in a
I
great
mean, he
shift.
compared her to Monster
Yeah,
Reaper,
that's
who, depending on what year, is crazy
yeah,
praise.
like the Monster Ripper,
uh,
like beat
yeah.
Jackie Sato in like her very first match, Monster Ripper. Um,
WrestleMarine Pied main
yeah.
eventer, Monster Reaper.
Former 3WA
Yeah.
champion. Did she win the 3WA belt, or was it the tag belts?
She had
Might have
to.
been the
I
tag
don't know.
belts, but either way, Joshi. I wouldn't say legend, but
Absolute legend.
great historical name there. But yeah, Willow was great. And I think Giulia really,
Oh, she was Bertha Faye, by the way. For
oh
anybody
yeah,
who like knows her as that more, she was
yeah.
Bertha Faye.
It was interesting seeing Giulia though in this setting because with better production and a crowd that you can actually hear, it is crazy just how much of a star she felt like. And I feel like it's easy for us to forget sometimes that she just gets this on every level because we're so used to it. Like we
Yeah.
watch Giulia every week. We know Giulia, but seeing so many people watch her for the first time and just be like, this woman is a superstar. Like holy cow! It's
And the funny thing is that in the tag match, at least, she wasn't like it like in ring work wasn't particularly
Mhm.
spectacular. I thought Tekla did
Yeah.
most of like the great work in that match. Um, but yeah, just like there was just something that like carries over from Giulia, like just constantly. Because yeah, I mean the singles match with Will today, incredible, like genuinely absurd, like one of uh I always say like top 50 of the year for like matches I rate like an 8 out
Yeah.
of 10. But yeah, like like I'm not gonna say it's best match of the year, but like top 50 of the year firmly, and I've seen like 1,000 matches this year, so that's pretty high praise. Um, like yeah, like it was an insane match, but even then, it's like she didn't have to do much in the tag match to get like super
Yeah.
hot, right? And a big part of that is the New Japan crowd is just like the best crowd in the world. I've always kind of thought that is that New Japan crowds are just really absurdly good. Um, and the strong crowd especially was like a New Japan crowd that wanted to be an American crowd and like made it this cool dynamic of like fun. I don't know if you saw anything else from the first strong show. I
Oh.
haven't seen the second one yet outside the women's match. They were chanting like "Holy shit"
Wow.
at the death match, and it was so incredible. Like it like the vibe was just like outstanding. Because I mean it's Jun Kasai, right? Like obviously the crowd's gonna go crazy for Jun Kasai, but like the crowd just like was beautiful, like one of the best crowds I've like ever witnessed, honestly. And that was for the first night, which was noticeably less stacked than the second
Mhm.
night. So I'm excited to see the second night. Yeah, crowd was incredible. The New Japan production in Japan is absurd. I said this for like everybody on the card, but I think like I with the Joshis especially, you can just see like a whole nother element to them, right? That like a Willow production in America sucks. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Is the New Japan production in America sucks and it doesn't give them uh the shine that it should. Cause like bad dude Tito showed up, right? Like he just looked like a star, which is crazy. And so if you imagine bad dude Tito in comparison to fucking Julia looked like an absolute megastar, $1,000,000. As did Momokogo and Tekla and Willow in their matches. It was great time. It was a
Yeah,
great
and
time.
now Giulia has the belt. And the announcers seem to be like
Yes.
playing into some stuff. They were saying like, oh, the winner of the Owen might be in line for this,
Should
and
challenge Julia. Yeah.
so it seems like they have challengers in mind. I don't know if that's what they go with. This is gonna obviously be difficult to get Giulia to defend that belt unless they schedule it for a break in the GP, which we have no idea when the next strong show even is. But yeah, they seem to have
They
plans.
might I've been saying it. That sounds like they would make it on a Dynamite, but again, I
But
don't know
would
what the
would
announcers know. You
AEW
know what I mean?
like book a New Japan strong title match if it's not on their wrestler? You know?
Well, if it's against the person who won the Owen or anybody in the
Yeah,
Owen,
but
then
I feel
yeah.
like if you win the
You know what I
Owen, you
mean?
should challenge Tony or Chris, right? Like that would be the
Yes.
main endpoint.
That would
Yeah,
make a lot
so
more
I don't know
sense.
if they do it.
Yeah, I mean the announcers were setting a lot of stuff up. They were also saying, "Oh, maybe Willow and Momo will grab another Stars partner and challenge for the
Yeah.
RS belts
Yeah, they
because
were
they've
just
been done."
like, "Oh, this is the
Um,
key to international superstardom." I'm like, "Listen, buddy, she's not like signing away here. Like, calm down." So they do
no, I
hyperbole a
get
little bit.
why they are hyping it up like that because that's kind of the story they were given. Is oh she wants to go overseas, so she's challenging Willow. This is the key to going overseas. Like I think that's a pretty easy A B
Yeah.
C type of thing. Um, and I think the announcers did a great job. Big Ian Riccaboni fan. I've always been a big Ian Riccaboni fan. Even though he fucks up names quite often, I still appreciate him. Chris Charlton's gotten a lot better with Joshi wrestlers. I will 100% say that. I think we often pan him and Kevin Kelly doing the crossover show for Kyrie and Mayu. We've talked about how bad that was multiple times. I think he's gotten a lot better. So yeah, I thought the announcers did a great job as well. Even though they were just trying to like grasp at straws because it's like nobody knows what the fuck is going on with Stardom in terms of
Yeah, that's
international
true. Yeah.
situations. So like they were just like, maybe Willow joins Stars. Fuck it. And I kind of, I respect it. They're trying to build something that they don't know what is building. So I give them props for that. At least they didn't leave it hanging, like I know a lot of commentators likely would do. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Either way,
shout out
I
to them.
mean, the obvious end goal here is Julia versus Mercedes Money. I feel like that's
Yes.
That's the reason they put it on Giulia. Like there's no other reason. If Mercedes hadn't been injured, Giulia doesn't win this belt. Like that's just kind of how it is. Like I'm sure Mercedes would have defended it on this show maybe, but it wouldn't have been her versus Giulia. You know, the Giulia match is obviously for a bigger stage, and we'll learn about that I guess a bit more when Mercedes is fit to return. But yeah, the logical endpoint here is Giulia versus Mercedes money, which I mean Giulia's been angling for that match for months now. We like never even got to mention it, but in the week before Yokohama Arena, she was like, "Oh yeah, me and Mercedes will do a double title match. We'll unify my of Stardom title and her IWGP belt." And then they both lost their belts, which is why we never mentioned it because they both lost anyway. But yeah, Julia's been angling for that match for a
Yep.
while, so I'd imagine
She angles for a lot of matches
that is
though,
true.
but I think that's the one that's
That
a
is part
lock.
of her getting
She's
it.
also trying to get Tony Storm.
Yeah, that's yeah. I feel like that's gonna happen, but maybe that's a defense. Maybe they do a New Japan version of Tony defending because like
I
her
mean,
New Japan version is
New,
like a Minions juice, so she can lose to Giulia there and not in AEW. I don't really know.
yeah,
It just it's
heel Tony Storm is really bad. So especially Outcast Tony Storm, even worse than just heel Tony Storm. So I hope like that's the one match that I was like, you don't need to go to AEW for that one.
yeah.
Let's just grab her and like bring her anywhere else, and maybe she'll be a bit better.
Well, it might be on a New Japan show. I don't foresee AEW getting
Yeah, that's
involved
fine.
in the Julia sweepstakes quite honestly, but who knows really. But yeah, the obvious end goal here is Julia money, so we'll have to wait and see on that because
Which will be
yeah,
great.
that's gonna be great. Just the stare downs alone, like my God, they get it. They both get it. That's gonna be great.
Hmm.
Um, the other stuff, is there really any other news thing? I feel like there was, but it's just like gone now.
Lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
I don't think there was, because we would have remembered.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot, so I
Yeah,
guess
that's
you
true.
know. Oh, tag team, the tag team tournament,
Oh
not tournament,
yeah,
the
yeah.
tag team show.
Voting is open for the Dream Tag Team Festival later this year. I've been
Have you voted?
no, I've been trying to rack my brains for a way for us
Yeah.
to stuff
Who's
the
your number
ballot.
one?
Right, I want Stardom Quest to stuff the
Oh
ballot.
yeah.
I want this show to mess up everything. Um,
I mean, like, who's your number one team that you want to see?
okay, so
I want to
So
ask like basically
yeah,
everybody
so
this though, but I thought
I
you'd
only
be
thought of
first.
this because a fan emailed me about it, and they were like, "Hey, this is the team I'm doing," and I was like, "That's amazing." So I'm fully on board for Momo Kogo and Saki Kashima. Give Kobomo her dream. Give her the dream team.
Okay, that's valid.
So
That's
that's
valid.
number one by far. And before that, I was angling for an MK Sisters reunion, just for Mayu and Kid team
Of
again.
course.
So I think those are the main two.
See, I struggle with putting anybody from Oedo Tai in there except for Kid. Kid would be fine, but like I think widescreen said, "Oh, it's got to be like Momoa's, right?" And I'm just like, "Fuck no,"
Yeah.
because Momo is going to ruin whatever match that is on purpose. Not because she's bad, but because that's what she does in these mixed matches. She's been in like two of them since she's joined Oedo Tai, and they've both sucked. Because she just does the heel shtick. Um, my number one was Azumi Suzu because
Ooh.
I'm a nerd,
Yeah.
and my number two was Utami Ida
Of
because
course. Yeah.
Moon Children. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. I forget what my number three was, but the thing is that I've noticed a lot of wrestlers are angling for certain picks,
Yeah.
so I don't know how worked this is. You know what I mean? Because it's like we'll see if my Sakurai and Mirai are a team. A little rigged, just a tad. But at the same time, I don't know who else people would necessarily want to see them tag with. And my Sakurai's already campaigned for that one. So yeah, we'll see how worked it is. I think like an Azumi Kid is like a surefire if it is just them like giving the illusion of choice to the
Yeah.
fans. um, but usually Japanese companies are pretty faithful to fan votes, and if not, they'll be like upfront about it. They'll be
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, you guys vote for this, but we ain't gonna do that," uh,
Yes.
because they've done that
The
before. So
infamous Hana versus Kagetsu or
yeah,
who was Mayu against?
Momomayu.
Momomayu, that poll, where they were like, "Oh, hey, who do you guys want to main event?" Not that one, not the
It
winner.
was
No, yeah, because I think
yeah,
Hana Kagetsu won.
cause didn't Momomayu yeah, Momomayu ended up going on last because they wanted the white belt to
Well,
go
it
on
was
last.
also like Mayu's
Um,
GP cash in as well. Like, so
yeah,
it was
yeah.
meant to be a big deal.
So they wanted that to go on last, very obviously, but it's always hard whenever they want something to go on last that ranks lower than the red belt. They'll be like, it's the same with New Japan. They'll be like, "Oh, let's do a fan vote," and sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. And that was really funny because yeah, Hana and Kagetsu won both polls, the English and the
Oh my
Japanese.
god.
So yeah, kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
that's so funny. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see about the tag festival. But if you do vote, vote on our behalf for Saki Kashima and Momoko. Though, give Ko Momo her dreams. And
Well, you get three. You get three. So vote for that, and also, in my opinion, vote Utami and Ida. Just because like the Suzu and Azumi one, I get. Some people like that's just like a me thing. Like I think that'd be cool, but they both have very obvious partners that they might just get paired
mhm.
up with. Utami and Ida don't. So vote for that if you're gonna vote and you don't know who to vote for. Vote for that and vote for Saki Kashima and Momoko.
Hell yeah.
Then you have one to choose. You have free choice apparently.
All right. Well, that is everything for the news section until we, randomly remember something in an hour's time. But for now, it is time to get on to the
You always
review
do.
section. I guess we could discuss the results of the show on July 1st from Tokuzawa, but I don't think anybody cares, so we should just go straight to the
I think the
pay-per-view.
only one that matters is Saki Kashima Tekla.
Yes, but even then, I mean,
Okay, Tekla beat Saki Kashima,
yay.
and then was like, "Hey, I want a belt. I want a chance at your belt." And Saki Kashima was like, "Nah," and she left. And then she tweeted, I am 3 for 3 on denying people championship
That's
matches,"
incredible.
and I that's a
Yeah,
great bit.
I
I
love it.
love that.
Saki is so great.
That's the only thing
All
from
right.
that show.
And then the other show to review was the pay-per-view. This was Stardom MidSummer Champion 2023. This had 1,307 fans at the Yokohama Budokan, which is, I think it's up from the last time they went there, because wasn't the last time the Cinderella final, and it only did like 1,000?
I think it was
Yeah.
weak. Yeah,
Oh,
it
because
was
they
maybe
did
like
the
1,000,
Weekender, didn't they? They
1,100.
did the Nubla Premium and then the Cinderella final. So they kind
Yeah,
of heard it. But yeah, it's up from that and down from that random 1,600 sellout for the very first show of the year. Which obviously had the New Year holiday bump, given it was like the day before Wrestle Kingdom or something. So you had all the traveling people in
yeah, it
and
was like the
stuff like
second
that.
or the
So,
yeah.
uh, decent number, all things considered. Then in the opener, we had Hanako, Mei Seira, and Suzu Suzuki beating Aya Sakura, Hazuki, and Saya Ida. Hanako pinned Aya Sakura in 11 and a half minutes with a JP coaster. And fun thing to note, this is the venue that she was in when Himeka gifted her that move. I think that's what she said. So
That's
this
awesome.
was her first win with JP coaster in the same venue she was given it
Her first pinfall
too.
win. The first time she's ever gotten a pinfall on someone.
Very good for Hanako.
Um, yeah, I mean, shout out to her. I think it looked kind of like the move itself looked kind of like shit. She needs to tighten that up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for her and her success. I think she has a lot of potential. Um, and yeah, I didn't get to see much of this match because I woke up late. This is the first Stardom show I've ever gotten
Oh
8 hours of
wow.
sleep around. Yeah, so I like went to bed at like 9. I woke up at like 2:20, which is 20 minutes after it started. And then I watched it and then I went back to bed at like 6:30 and I woke up for work a few hours later. So yeah, I got like full 8 hours for the first time on a Stardom show. Huge, huge. Yeah, so I didn't see most of this, but Hanukkah winning's cool. I'm
Yeah,
happy
I mean,
for
I
her.
thought it was a good match, and it was the best I've seen from Aya Sakura as well. Like she
That's good.
kicked Hanako in the face at one point, and I went, "This is what we want. This is where we need to be, kicking people in the face." So
Kickers are so
they
good,
are.
man. Like
I
I
love them.
know like I watched Maya Fukuda against
Yeah.
Azusa Inaba in a UWF match the other day. Just just
Hmm.
that. Like like that is it was beautiful. Like you know what I mean? Like it was absolutely incredible. just because they were kicking the fuck out of each other for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what we need. This is what wrestling is. Just kick each other.
Gotta love kicks. But yeah, everybody around that was good. But yeah, Aya Sakura I thought deserved a lot of praise because, well, she was, as many people may forget, my chosen one of the class. Despite me being like, oh, she's really bad. She was initially my chosen one of that rookie class. So if she could start beasting and kicking everybody in the face, I could take victory laps. So, and as we know, I like
Yeah,
victory laps. So hopefully
he
she keeps that
does.
up. And fair play to Hanako for getting her first win. They've quite obviously slotted her above Aya Sakura, but her pinning her now is like the biggest indication of they're pushing Hanako before Aya Sakura. Um,
I mean, yeah, Aya Sakura was just on the winning side of a team for the
yeah,
first time like
the poor
last week.
girl. Um,
Hanako's been winning. She is just now is getting like an
Yeah.
actual win.
And the next match down on the show was the Queen's Quest team of Lady C, Saya Kamatani, Azumi, and Utami Hayashishita, beating Momokogo, Koguma, Hanan, and Mayu Iwatani. Saya got the win in 9 minutes with the Star Crusher. I thought this was pretty good, but it was really hurt by the fact that there was literally no reason to give a shit about this match. Like, it was just a house
See,
show tag with a bit more effort, you know?
I actually disagree. I think this match was like really good. I really like this match. I think the DDM Oedo tie was the one where
Well,
I
they
was like,
both suffered from that. They
nobody
both suffered.
cares. Nobody cares in the but this one felt like they at least like
See,
gave a
that's because this one
fuck.
was shorter.
Like even
I
like
think
a
that's because this one
molecule.
was shorter. The
Okay,
away to tie one was
that's in
definitely
part,
too
yeah.
long. But they both were hurt by the fact that they were just house show matches with a bit more effort.
I thought this was great though. I mean, it's the QQ bump in part. Like I think QQ's
Yeah.
just kind of like, they're there. And I mean, Stars, I think I speak for both of us, is like just overall such a good faction.
Mhm.
Like they just have such a great like style and just like their floor is so high that it's hard to like hate a Stars match unless it's like completely taken out of its element. And this was just really really fun. Couple notes is that Azumi came out with the Shoe Pro. First time she's ever been on a Shoe Pro cover.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think Shoe Pro tweeted out somehow Azumi hasn't been on the cover before, so shout out to her. Um, and yeah, and then yeah, Hanan did the Razor Ramon hard gay pose for some reason. Uh, Somebody pointed that out on Twitter, and I found that very funny because I was like, oh, she's not doing her pose. It was the Razor Ramon hard gay pose instead. Interesting. Um,
Interesting. Yeah.
and yeah, I thought the match was really good. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought Momokogo and Tosai did some really good stuff near the end, and yeah,
Yeah,
I had fun
Saya
here.
was
And then
doing good.
after this was when the Utami story came about.
Yes, I will say Lady C has had a new lease on life since that cage
Yes.
match. She is beasting, and I'm here for it. Um, Yeah, as you said afterwards, Utami got on the microphone, and there was a moment of panic because she was so somber that I was like, if this bitch retires, I swear to God, like,
Oh yeah,
like,
I started like feeling like I was gonna
yeah.
fucking be sick.
So I was like, I swear to God, if you retire a week after that match, I am actually gonna hunt you down. But yeah, she just announced she needed to take a break, to find herself, and she was gonna leave Queen's Quest to the rest of the group. Everybody else was like, "What? What's going on?" And they all went backstage. So I thought this was just a story thing of like she's gonna have a little break because she's winning the Grand Prix and she's gonna win the world title, and they want to give her a break before riding that horse for the next 18 months or whatever. But no,
Yeah, especially looking at how long this fucking North Tour is.
yeah,
It's like these are like 8 matches, 9 matches in the next 14 days.
yeah,
Um, or not next 14 days, but over the 14 days she's not going to be there. And it's like, yeah, she could. They probably just want to make sure
yes,
she wrestles 3 matches against Americans, and a Canadian, to make sure she doesn't fucking die before the 5 star.
yeah. But then it was announced that she's going to Game Changer. So it was
Yeah.
actually a planned break for them to send her abroad to work some dates. And I mean, I imagine she still comes back and is like revitalized and maybe has new gear and wins the tournament. Like, I feel like after this, it is so set in stone that she's winning the GP. That if anybody else wins it, I will be shocked. Yeah, they did a whole thing there where she was like, "Oh, I didn't. I'm really questioning myself, so I'm taking some time away." And yeah, that got us Utami versus Lufisto. How about it?
Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
It was really scary, like live, watching it live, because you didn't watch it live, did you?
I saw this
Or did
part
you?
live. I was very
Okay.
scattered. I woke up late, like you did, and then I turned it on and I saw two tag matches. Then I had to go. Then I came back from MIRAI Tam, and then I stopped watching. So it was a bit all over the place.
Yeah, it was frightening. In the chat in Discord,
Yes,
I was
that
texting
was
some people.
so
We were
funny.
genuinely like, we were having breakdowns. I texted you. I said I thought Rossi was a sick freak, um, and was gonna like break up Queen's Quest. But I think the thing that like I noticed and a few other people noticed is that Utami said it, and we don't have translations. So she said it. The crowd went, "What?" And then like Queen's Quest was like looking around like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then she like started walking away without them.
Hmm.
And so everybody was like, "What the fuck's going on?" But then Azumi and Saya did like the funniest shit where they're like, wait, Utami," and it's like they were like like fucking scurrying
Yeah.
after her, like trying to like catch up to her. They were like pushing each other, like, "No, we need to talk to our friend." Like it was really funny. And we played it up for laughs, so I was like, okay, she didn't just disband the unit.
Mhm.
We are safe. And then the translation came out and it was, you know, fine. I think some people still had like the fear that it's like, oh, she's leaving. And then it was just, oh, she's doing a tour of New York for a couple weeks. And I think that's probably the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
All right.
it was a roller coaster
That it was, that it
though.
was. And then we went on a downswing. We had Don and Del Mondo, Mai Sakurai, Tekla, Micah, and Giulia versus the Uedo Tai team of Momo Watanabe, Ruaka, Natsuko Tora, and Rina. And Mai Sakurai got the win with the MPR in 12 minutes. And boy, did I feel
My
those
pan roll.
12 minutes, because there was a point where if this ended, it
Yeah.
would have been good, and then they just kept wrestling. And I was like, you could have just not, right? Um, I also
Micah and Nasco were
of
fine.
course. I mean,
That was the
of
only part
course.
that was like
You know, I was gonna
decent.
say Momo and Julia, but then I think Momo was not good in this match. I feel like I'm having a come to Jesus
But
moment about Momo Watanabe. She just hasn't been it lately, and I don't know why. But
dude,
she was in there with
I
Tekla and couldn't do good stuff. Tekla,
and
like,
Tekla is like made like she is formed to get
yes,
good things
yeah,
out of
I
people.
was so amazed. Like, I'm not saying she's washed or terrible because of one bad match,
I don't think
but
she's washed. I don't think she's
been a
washed.
while since
But
I've come away going, "Oh, Momo was great in that match." Like it's not ideal.
it's rough. And I mean like I've obviously been pretty sour on her the entire way to tie run. I think her
Hmm.
tag stuff has been solid, good enough. Uh but yeah, no, I just she doesn't have how I was talking about the stars floor about how it's like
Yes.
it's pretty hard to get like a bad match out of a stars tag. Um Momo used to have that, like the highest floor of anybody in the company, and that was what made her so great. Um, she just doesn't have that anymore. Like her flow is like her floor is in the ground. She can have the most shit match of anybody on the roster. Uh, she doesn't usually. Like usually she isn't that bad, but she's very capable of being that bad,
Hmm.
and that has been something that has really made me upset. Because again, she for a long time was like one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, and she just ain't anymore. And that sucks because I don't think she's washed. I just think she isn't in the position to care or to be good or any positive thing. I don't really have anything positive to say about Momo at this exact moment.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing, and I feel like if she doesn't have a good GP, she's really in for it because
Yeah,
this company is so loaded that if you have a bad GP, they will not think twice about forgetting about you. And I think
yeah, because like
that
Momo's
would be
always
worrying.
been, and like I mean, as recently as last week with the cage match, right, has always been like a oh well, and then she comes back around, right? Like that's always been the Momo fans' brain. Is that it's like, oh, but then she comes back around. Then she wins the white belt or the red belt, down the line some point she comes back around. She might just not. That's the fear at this
Mhm.
point. Is that she might just be this forever. And if that's the case, a part of me dies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a real part of me just like really gets put into a lot of pain from that because again, one of the best wrestlers in the world at one point. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
this match wasn't that bad to the point where it's like, oh, Momo's the worst wrestler ever. It's just this is kind of like one of those moments where it's like, oh, that's a concern.
Mhm.
More so than this is like a terrible match. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's enough on that.
But the match itself wasn't amazing because
No, it
it
wasn't
had all the, you know,
good.
again, it like I used to have this issue with New Japan pay-per-views. There was just so many tags with no real purpose, and this was exactly that. Just a
See, and
house show tag with more.
that's why New Japan's been doing better is because they usually just run just 5 guys in LIJ, and they're good in opening tags.
Yeah.
And then everything else is like, if you like Bullet Club, then it's good. If you don't, it's terrible. But like, like that's pretty much just what they run is like just 5 guys uh or Lij in a tag, and it's always good. So uh, we need to get back to that with Stardom.
Yes. Um, After the match, then my Sakurai got on the microphone. She talked her talk. It was very fun. The crowds are still really into the my Sakurai thing,
Mhm.
and I mean, go you, I guess. But it's yeah, I don't know. It doesn't
She ain't in
translate.
the tournament, so
Yeah, it
yeah,
just doesn't
you know.
translate, which is the weirdest thing. Like it's so strange seeing something so popular that we just don't get at all, you know? But it's if it's over, it's over. Fair play to her, you know?
She took the DDM girlies to like this like super expensive resort the other
Ooh.
day. Uh and it was like Giulia they were like in like a fucking penthouse. And Julia just posted a video of her going, "Wow. Wow." Just over and over. It was real weird. Um but yeah, my Sakurai, they went in a limo. She's living the gimmick, living the gimmick.
Yeah, that is true. And you know what? Good for her because she could have just been
Yeah.
a standard wrestler, but she said, "I'm gonna make something," and it's worked.
She should have done what like every mediocre Joshi wrestler did in like the late '90s, and just become a hardcore wrestler.
Yeah,
And not even just the mediocre ones. Like Gami was really good, and she was still like, ah,
yeah.
I think I'm done. Give me a chair.
That is fair. After that, then we had a passion injection match. Nanai Takahashi beat Starlight Kid in 14 and a half minutes with the 1 second X. Momoe Nakanishi was ringside, and I think she switched sides. She went from seconding
Yes.
Starlight Kid to being like, "Hey, Nanai, hey, buddy, old pal."
At first, I was like, damn, Nakanishi's a traitor, and then I was like, nah, she
Yeah,
cool.
she's allowed.
She
She's
fooled me.
allowed.
It's
She can
cool.
do it. If
Yeah,
anybody's allowed to get away
love
with it, it's
Nakanishi.
it's Momoe. I thought this was a really really good match. Like, Kid of all people is gonna make up for any of Nanai's shortcomings. And Nanai didn't have many shortcomings here. She was beating the brakes off this woman. But Kid was also very willing to fight back, and I thought that made for a really really good match.
I think I liked it. Don't get me wrong, I did like it a lot, and this isn't even a criticism, but I think I assumed after the build she'd channel Momoe Nakanishi more, but this is like a this is like her doing an El Desperado match, right? Like that
Mhm.
was the style, because like she, like that's just kind of the, uh, I guess it's easiest to call it an El Desperado style because he's like the first junior that comes to mind that doesn't necessarily wrestle fast and just does the technical stuff really well. Um, and yeah, I think kids kind of leaned into that more, which wasn't bad. I actually really enjoyed it, but it was a interesting choice because I was like, oh, I thought she was gonna like try to wrestle circles around her, like like the, just like run around her like a high speed wrestler, right? I forget that kid was just cosplaying as a high speed wrestler. She's not really about that life. Um, but no, I still thought this was really good. Uh, Nanai, like after weeks of build to Kid's Momo latch, Nanai's like, nah,
Yeah,
bump that.
I mean it almost worked. In fairness.
No, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was really funny how she was just like, "I'm good,
Yeah.
actually." She went for the mumble match. She just sat down. She's like, "Nah, we ain't doing that. You thought you could beat me with my tag team partner's move? Fuck you." And then she beat her.
Yeah. We love that.
Based.
After the match, then there was some interesting stuff set up. Um, Nanai spoke for a while. I don't think she really said much of note though. But then Kid was like, "Hey, Momoe, like maybe you should get in the ring next time." And
She should.
instead of tagging with me, I think I should wrestle you. So Kid was angling for a Nana Momo reunion, and it didn't. It seemed like Nakanishi wasn't too opposed to it. So I would guess,
I'm so
I
down
would guess
for it.
sometime soon we're gonna get Nanai and Momo Nakanishi against
That could be
Starlight
the
Kid.
tag fest. I
Hmm,
figure, especially if
maybe.
they work that, if they work it so that's Kid and Izumi versus Nanai and Momoe, that's definitely the match I would do.
Yeah,
Um, or even if they don't, and it ends up being Kid and Mayu or Kid and pretty much whoever, I think that would still be a pretty fun match. Um, how do you feel? Sorry to take us back a little bit. How do you feel about Kid losing? Because a lot of people didn't like it. I obviously am not a SLK fan, so it's like I found it very funny. And I also like Nanai a lot. And I, I I think Scott was talking about it. Scott and Velke were like, if Nanai loses, Passion Injection's kind of dead. Like I don't know if she keeps doing it after that. So they gotta keep it alive. How do you feel about Kid losing to Nanai here?
it's fine. I mean, if it gets her to the Nana Momo tag, I feel like that would be more important. And if she wins that, then
Yeah.
that's better, you know. And
Mhm.
yeah, I wouldn't worry about it because there's clearly an end goal to this.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that Nye winning just kind of further cements the passion ejection gimmick, where it's like, I don't know, she's only really lost to Shuri and Utami singles, hasn't she?
I don't even think she
Um,
lost to Utami. They drew, didn't they?
oh no, that was a
Yeah,
draw. Yeah, she I think she's only lost to Shuri in
yeah.
the singles. Um, only been pinned by
Suri and Waka,
Shuri and Waka.
incredible.
Yeah,
But
love that.
that's how you do some of this stuff. You protect the veteran, and then when they do lose, it means something. Crazy, right?
Yeah,
Um,
who would have thought?
yeah,
A great gimmick, by the way. I still think passion injection is like such a great just
hmm
idea, and
it's really
everything.
good.
Really
And
big
I
fan.
mean, it obviously is going to end with Starlight Kid getting a win, so I think it's fine. Um, yeah, she's getting her.
I think her beating Momoe would probably be bigger than her beating
Yeah,
Denai
probably.
because of how big of a Momoe like it is like that's the
Mhm.
connection there, right? Like Kid was kind of saying it's like, oh, I used to watch you and Momoe tag, and then she trained with Momoe, so I think that's probably where they're going with it is Kid pinning Momoe, which I think works perfectly.
Definitely. And you just know Kid pitched all this. Like she was like, "Listen, man, let's do it. I want to
Oh yeah,
work Nana Momo."
big,
You know.
huge
Yeah.
nerd, huge classic Joshi nerd.
Um,
Shout out to her.
there was a lot of backstage comments from Starlight Kid, but if you saw the length of this text,
When isn't there?
like it is. Hold
When
on,
isn't
I'm just gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 lines of dialogue from Kid that I am not going to skim through because we would be here for too long. But she did speak for a while in the post-match comments, and I'm going to assume she didn't do
she always
anything of
does.
note. Now, we're going to get onto a cool match after this, but I think we should take a break before it, just so I have time to prepare myself to, be okay. All right, so our next match was a Goddess of Stardom Championship match. The Rose Gold team of Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May beat Ami Sorei and Shuri in just under 15 minutes when Mina pinned Shuri with the Glamorous Collection Mina. First things first, the entrance from Mina and Mariah. They slayed the house down. I was in awe.
Oh man.
Like, I was fully shook. They hit that dance like nobody's business. It was flawless. I I just cannot put into words. It was amazing. And I know the dance, like most people, it just floats over the head, but to me, it's just they are serving, and it's amazing.
It's still real to
Exactly. I
me,
love
damn
it.
it.
I'm here for it. I hope they keep dancing. I hope they keep the bells because it's a night. It's slaying. It's just so good. Um, and then, where on earth has this Ami Sorei been hiding? Where
Bro,
did she get
bro, I
this?
was so excited. I was so the first 3 minutes of the match, I was like, "Holy shit,
Yeah,
she's back." She
her
like, what
and
the fuck
Mina.
happened? Oh my god, she was really good. She was
Mhm.
throwing it, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I was talking about last week. The intensity is just not there, or it wasn't there with Ami for so long, and that was always the issue because she has a lot of good moves in her arsenal. She just doesn't really use them to their full ability. Like, she has a lariat, she just doesn't really hit it that well. It's just like kind of around. She was throwing shit, and that was what you need from Ami.
Her
It was
her and
really good.
Mina were teeing off to start this one. It was
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
I was so blown away. I was like, where the hell has she been hiding this? Like this was fantastic. Um,
The first like 30 seconds were better than anything
pretty
she's
much,
done the
yeah.
entire year. Maybe except for like the
Yes.
Saya match, which was like solid. Like, but yeah, that was like the best thing
No
she's done the
doubt.
entire year, pretty much.
And then it just got better from there. We ended with Mina and
Mhm.
Siri, and I thought that was a really, really good exchange. Even though it was nowhere close to what they can
Yeah.
both do, it was still a really, really good exchange. Mariah,
Do they have a do they
I
have
think they're
a
in different
five
blocks.
star match?
Yeah, 'cause Mina is in the
Yeah,
Anou
they are.
block, and Siri is in the
Shuri's
other one.
red and yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but their exchange was really good, and I thought that was a good showcase of like Mina firmly being on the level of the top names in Stardom. Like she didn't get eaten up by Siri; she was like right there with Siri. Um, and
yeah,
the one thing I remember from Mariah May in this match is Ami Sourei broke up a
yeah. Me too.
pin, and she just yeets her over her head with the most brutal German. It was awesome. I was like, "You go."
Hmm. All caps in the
Yes.
notes. Mariah
Yeah.
May killed Ami with the German.
Yeah.
I
It
gasped.
was a sick German suplex. That was so great. But yeah, just a great tag match. This was such a needed jolt in the arm for this division. Because these tag belts are great, and they're usually
Yeah.
really fun additions to shows. And we didn't like the new eras all that much, but Rose Gold, their era is now, and they're gonna be very fun. Like Mina Shirakawa is still an incredible pro wrestler, and she works even in tag matches. It works.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Chris Charlton gave his friend
No
Mariah May
way.
a shout out.
You go, girl.
The New Japan show. Um, yeah, yeah. Shouts out. Even though he had to say, but I don't think Momokogo's that bad. Like that was what it was. He was like I love my girl Mariah May, but I think she might be wrong. Momokogo's kind of cool. Like that was the gimmick. But oh, this was great. Yeah, this was a really good match. I was
Yeah,
scared. You watched this post, but so I was scared. Um, because you can see you yourself can
yeah.
see tells in Tam's matches, right? Like within the first 10 seconds, pretty much. I can see him in Shuri's matches, especially tag matches, because if she doesn't start the
Yeah.
match, she's going to end it, right? Or and if she doesn't, and if she starts the match,
Mhm.
she's not going to be in the fall. That's kind of how they run it. Um, so I was watching this, and it started with Ami and Mina, and I was like, "Are they really giving the belts back to Gaza? There's no way that Shuri's taking the L here, but she's not. Like, she's gonna be the in the finish because she always is if she's not in the start. So what the fuck's happening? Um, and then yeah, the glam collection. I can't call it the angel twist anymore because she's not an angel. The glam collection, great finish. I think I think people might have been taking it a bit too seriously almost. Um, like, oh, Mina just pinned the most protected wrestler in Joshi wrestling. Yes, but so did Koguma. Like, let's like Shuri in Stardom notably struggles with flash pinfalls, and that makes the next match a little bit more interesting.
Mhm.
And what
Yeah.
happened with that? I kind of like where they might go with that, but let's calm down. I agree. Mina is up there. You know what I mean? Mina is upper echelon. She's at the top tier now. And I'm very happy for her. But let's not act like, this was as big as Giulia pinning Shuri. You know what I mean? Like let's calm down a little bit. It's a flash pin. She loses to flash pins all the time. Like that's the only way you ever win against Shuri for the most part is with a flash pin. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a really really fun match. Um, Still hoping Mariah
Mhm.
May can get a little bit more time in these tag matches. I think that was like the one thing that was like you could let her
Yeah, they're very
sit in here for a little bit
Mina-centric
longer, just a
so
tad.
far.
Like yeah, you don't need to like overexpose her and like leave her out to dry like they often do with a lot of wrestlers in tag matches, but you could
Mhm.
definitely get her in there for a few more minutes, split it a little bit more evenly because I still think that she can show out even better than she has been, especially in these tag matches because you can tell the vibe is there, like the rose gold style is there, like it works. And I'm really excited to see the rest of
Yeah,
their
they're
matches
gonna
from
be a
here on
fun
out.
tag team. Hopefully we get them in like FWC. I think that would be really great. Just let.
That's tough because I'm gonna be so tired of seeing Hazuki lose title matches
Yeah,
by then.
she's
I'm gonna be
fine.
I'm just I'm just
She's
gonna like
fine. You'll be all right.
bang my head against
Either
the wall.
that or Mafia Bella. I think that would be fun. A Mafia Bella one.
Mafia Bell would be fun. I mean, if they want to bring out
Yeah.
their good tag teams, they can at any time. Like we might have forgotten because of the new eras and Seven Up was great, but they weren't a Stardom tag team. We might have forgotten, but they have a crazy tag team division if they want to.
Yeah, I
You know
mean you
what I
got
mean?
what
They have
BMI
plenty of people.
2000,
So
Mafia Bella, um,
yeah,
Karate Brave maybe still exist possibly. FWC.
I hope. I hope.
Meltier. I mean, Meltier and Rose Gold. I said that when they won the belts, that would go crazy.
Not to play not to play Anu as well. Yeah, I mean, and that's not even looking at like an Aphrodite, a Saya Izumi. I've been waiting for a Saya Izumi goddess challenge for so long, like, or just pretty much anybody in Queen's Quest goddess challenge at this rate, because they haven't had one in like a long time since I think Momo was around. Um, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of great teams in the company. They can, it, any day they want to make the tag team division stacked and great and beautiful and nonstop bangers, they can because the tag team style is usually really good if it's not the new eras. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited
But
actually.
it's fair. And yeah, nobody really said anything after. I don't think there was no promos. We didn't even get a challenge. No,
No, no.
yeah, nothing really. Um, Waka was there. She got the champagne. Good for Waka. Um,
That's I hate that. I'm gonna be real. I hate that fucking bit. Like I think it's so it's a bit much. I don't know.
That's fair. But yeah, they didn't really say much of anything to set anything up. Just that the Club Venus crew was like, "Hey, Mina, you beat Suri. Hey, good for you." So that was kind of it. There
Yeah.
wasn't really much else.
Raime was tweeting about it for like 2
Oh,
weeks
for
straight
sure.
after
Her
that.
Twitter is great.
She was like, "My TV partner
She's
beat
so fun.
her."
Um,
She also before the match was like, "You're telling me I have to defend against fucking
she
Shuri?"
used a fresh meme because I only saw that like clip from Hot Ones that she used the other day of like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I was like, as soon as I saw Mariah use it, I was like,
Her
she
Twitter
knows
game's
what's up.
crazy.
Yeah,
Her Twitter game's
she gets
crazy.
it. Yeah, because I'd only seen that video recently, and I was like, that's so memeable. Like that's such a great reaction. Yeah, she pulled it out. But that was the tag title match. Long live Rose Gold. Long may they serve and slay. The next match was a high-speed
Indeed.
championship match. It was Saki Kashima beating Fukigen Death in 3.5 minutes to retain the high-speed championship. Um, yeah,
Three
yeah.
and a
They
half minutes.
decided to do a story-driven high-speed title match with a woman who,
Yes.
up until a week ago, was one of the biggest annoyances in the company. And it was interesting because the way the tie just kept.
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Saki was meant to be the babyface, despite being a clear villain to everybody for the last 2 years. So
Yeah, but I think she's such a, and I mean this in the best way possible. She's pitiful.
well,
Like
I
that's
don't
where she's
really
at.
think so because I remember like a way to tie were cheating, and I was like, yeah, but I remember you did this to Suri, like you kind of deserve it, just a little bit. So it was hard to like fully get
Yeah,
in on board, but I was very much like, okay, I want to see somebody combat a way to tie here because we're in the era now where people are fighting
yeah.
back against a way to tie. So who's gonna help Saki?
It was this thing. It was this thing with Saki is that it's like I don't know. It's interesting because and a lot of this was, and I hate to say this, a lot of this was Bullet Club build. Um, and you haven't seen a lot of recent Bullet Club, but the Fukigen spot right after where they hand her the
Yeah,
newspaper, that is just what Taiji Ishimori does every time that Bullet Club turns on someone,
right.
basically. Is that it's like, "Oh, you were tag team partners. What are you gonna do? You can't. You have to save him, right? Like you." And then he just beats the fuck out of him, and it's like, "Ah, I'm evil, haha." And it's like that was the clown, but at least this time it was a literal clown doing it, and not a well-respected junior wrestling legend. Um, that's besides the point. But no, I get what you mean. That it's like Saki was always the
Hmm.
asshole, but I think there's something about her. Maybe it's because she's a bean sprout, maybe because she's just like small, and smaller than everybody in Oedo Tai. Uh, maybe it's just because she has a very sympathetic face. Maybe it's just because like you read her tweets, right, and you could tell that like getting beaten up by her friends hurt her a lot, right? I still think I really do. I think that the gimmick is just that she's pitiful.
That's fair.
um, because she's an asshole, but now she's like dealing with it, and it's like in part, it's like yeah, like you kind of deserve it, but at the same time, it's like she's she was the weakest member of Oedo Tai, not in she won matches, but in like power scaling terms, she's the weakest
Yeah,
member of
well,
Oedo
she's
Tai,
the only one who's
and now
ever
all of
like
them are
ducked
torturing her.
matches, and they're like, Siri,
Yeah,
please do
yeah,
not kill me. So I can see where that comes from.
yeah. And in a story sense, she's the weakest member, even though
Yes.
she didn't lose all of her matches. Like Ruaka loses more than Saki ever did, but in a story sense, she's the weakest member. So you kind of feel like, oh man, and it's the same thing with what happened last week. It's like, dude, it's Saki. Come on, do you really have to cheat and like fuck her up like this? Like
Yeah. I don't
she's
know.
just she's just a little guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just I don't know. I didn't feel like rooting for Valiant Babyface Saki Kashima all that much during the match. I was just like, okay, cool. It was well paced though. I mean, they just kept doing stuff, so I can't really. It wasn't terrible, but I just thought it was a weird decision to do a very story-driven match with somebody who, as I said up until a week ago, was a general annoyance to everybody. Um, but obviously, this was to set up the post match, which was kind of the most interesting thing. Because as you said, Fukigen Death was beating her up with a newspaper. Uedo Tai rushed the ring and then beat her up. And out comes,
Except for
except
Reno.
for Rina again, and out comes God's Eye. Siri and Sorei fending off Uedo Tai because reasons. Um, and yeah,
They were just sick of that shit.
yeah,
They
I
wanted
mean,
in.
Suri seemed very upset with Natsuko. She was like, "Don't you dare!" Like, I beat Saki Kashima up. It was kind of like that. Only I beat up Saki. Um, yeah, because I was expecting like
I
somebody like when they did the Fukigen thing. I was like, okay,
I was expecting Azumi.
I guess yeah. 'Cause I knew something was gonna happen. I thought it might be Arena, but I guess they're gonna tease that one out for a while before they pull that.
Not for a while. I think they have a Korakuen match.
Yeah.
It's Amisaki against Rina.
Yeah, yeah.
My
But it's,
buddy.
I mean, I felt Reno was gonna do it here, but then they're obviously gonna wait on that to do the face turn. But yeah, it was Suri instead, and that was kind of the big like cathartic moment. Um, and then Saki Kashima joined God's Eye in the most entertaining way possible. She straight up was like, "I don't want to wrestle you anymore. Can you please protect me?" And Suri was like, "What?" like, that's how you're asking to join my faction? It's like he was like, "Yes, I will. I will do anything you want. Please, just help." Um,
She said something about like eating
I think she was
goldfish
like, "I am
droppings.
goldfish droppings," because
Oh,
she
I
calls God's Eye
okay.
goldfish. I think so. She was like, "I am shit compared to you."
I am
Yeah,
your shit.
it
I am
was
your shit. Let
it
me be
was
your poop,
strange. And
please.
then when Siri let her in, she was like, "Thank fuck, I never have to wrestle you again." And Siri just like slapped her on the head and was like, "Hey, that's not what this is about." But
I really like this.
yeah, it
I
was
didn't think
so
I would. I
character
didn't think I
driven.
would be as
Like
I didn't think I'd be as into it as I
Yeah.
was and as I am. I'm just like so down for
I
this.
just enjoy that this comedy subplot has paid off with Saki joining God's Eye. Like that is the best
Mhm.
thing you could have possibly done. Um,
And I do think that this gives Ami something more than
this gives
anybody,
the
because
whole
like
group, because the group
her original
needs.
gimmick was being a bodyguard.
Yeah,
So now she's literally Saki Kashima's
that is
bodyguard,
true. That is true.
and I find that very funny.
I think it
Like
helps.
she doesn't have to be this character. She's just Saki's like, hey, stand in front of me,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, no, it definitely helps God's Eye because I mean we've said it a few times. Their issue has been, characterization and personality. And Saki Kashima has
Yeah,
that in spades. Just through Twitter, she will get them personalities. She will make that work. So I think she,
Konami ain't crazy about it though.
yeah, that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. But I guess she isn't around enough to really care. But it'll be fun.
She might be. So the thing with Konami is, and this isn't from Sprite, which is usually who I get all the
Yeah,
Konami,
the Konami lore.
the Konami news from. Yeah. But she just, I don't know if she won. She medaled in a jujitsu tournament.
Right.
Um, and so I imagine she was training for that a lot in recent months, past couple years type of thing. But she tweeted something that sounded like she really wants to like she's ready to get back, quote
Mm.
unquote. I don't know if that's the case. If it is, then she has to wait a little bit because I think the soonest for like a decent showing of hers to come back would be like tag league, um, which I could see her in. But it does sound from the way she was tweeting like she has the ambition to like return to a more full
All
time
right.
schedule. I don't know this for sure. That's just kind of what I'm gathering from it. But yeah, a lot of the God's Eye Saki stuff in the days since the the gimmick was like them being like, "We're training at the dojo today, and you're training with us." And she's like, "Please don't make me fucking train with you. I'm so scared. I don't want to do this." Like that. Like they're trying to like roughen her up, not roughen her up, but like
Yeah.
toughen her up rather. And I find that very funny. I think that's a great way to go about it. Maybe she actually takes on some of the challenges, some of the high speed challengers that have been going after
Yeah.
her
Siri
because
makes her.
Sherry like forces
Yeah.
her to.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Uh, I think that's such a great way to like develop Saki even further as a character is putting her with the wrestlers, right? Putting the character wrestler with the
Hmm.
wrestlers. I think that's such a great story
This
beat
this
in
is the
my opinion. It's super fun.
single most, and I say this in air quotes, golden era Stardom thing they have done since that one comedy
Mm,
tag where all of the people who didn't like each other were paired up. You remember that one? It was like
yeah, yeah, no, that was a
Azumi and
classic.
Poi, was it? And Giulia and Tam had to team up.
And Mina and
Yeah, and it
Momo,
was just
yeah.
peak like pre-COVID Stardom energy. That's the same energy
Mhm.
this story has. Like this is something they would have done when Arisa Hoshiki was around kicking people in the head. Like this is exactly the kind of storyline they would have done at that point, and it would have been just as entertaining.
I mean, think about it. Tam Nakano in Oedo Tai made no
Yeah.
fucking sense. Like that, and I'm not saying this is on the level of that because that's one of the greatest like match moments, like the Hana Kagetsu match followed by the Tam join, one of the greatest moments in Stardom history. I believe James often laments that it's the greatest moment in Stardom history, and I have no reason to argue with them. But it is a lot like that, where it's like, why the fuck is the idol joining the evil group?
Mm.
Like, that's crazy. What is happening? That's what it feels like here. It's like, why is this character wrestler who hates to wrestle, um, joining like the wrestlers, the Techers group? Like, that's insane. And I think it's just such a great mix match. And I have a feeling Saki's going to grow from it a lot, as is GE in general. I'm super excited, like I said.
Definitely.
And it was a sweet moment
Yes.
in general. Like it just like made me feel nice. Like I was like, oh, that's nice. That's a nice sort of way to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was thinking about this, and the next match kind of brought it into rotation. Um, the way Stardom is doing things now feels so different to what we've become accustomed to throughout this show, basically, because this show has existed mostly with clap crowds. I wonder if
Mhm.
it's Rossi has just decided to change things up now the crowds can cheer. Like I don't think it's a coincidence.
You,
Yeah,
you mentioned
I
that.
don't think it's a
Yeah.
coincidence that Oedo Tai finally lost one of the big stipulation matches now that the crowd can cheer. Um, I don't think it's a surprise that we're seeing these like shock title changes now that the crowds can like properly react to everything. And I don't think it's a
Mhm.
coincidence that something like Saki Kashima joining God's Eye happens now that crowds can get into it. Like I just wonder if a lot of the like malaise and like copy and paste stuff Stardom had been doing was just them coasting through the clap crowds and waiting for crowds to come
Mm.
back because they have been very different. We've been left shocked a lot of times since they brought them back.
It's very interesting because because like I've noticed, and I listened to one of Scott's shows, Ring Post Radio, where he talks about like WWE and shit. He was talking about the Roman angle. And he's like, Roman hasn't had a good match since the Thunderdome because since then they've just done
Hmm.
crowd pandering, and that's the only thing that they do now is stuff to make the crowd react and not like actual wrestling or anything like that. And it made me realize how much the pandemic like might have shifted
Hmm.
a booker's mind just about how wrestling works, because it's like you can see it in the pandemic because they had to adjust drastically, but coming out of it, it's different from even before the
Yeah.
pandemic. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Is that it's like really shifted, even like with full attendance, full crowds, bigger crowds than Stardom's ever done. It's still not like, okay, this is my belief of how booking works and this and that. It's completely different now. And for better or for worse, I actually agree that I think Rossi has taken note of how much more, uh, you know, uh, crowds influence the shows, and has gone, okay, Julie can lose the belt when nobody expects her to. Like just like, yeah, that works. Like instead of just having her do the year long and then like, okay, this is the payoff everybody was expecting, everybody's cool with, and we do it. I actually agree, and it's really interesting that how they kind of use the crowd in comparison to not only before the pandemic but during the pandemic and you know beyond. It is an interesting
Yeah, because
conversation.
I only really noticed it because it isn't just Stardom that's doing it. I like Marvelous
Hmm.
obviously did it. They belted up Mio Momono. That's one of the bigger examples. But then Velke,
Yep.
he got me to proofread his article on Seedling the other day, and Seedling since
Hmm.
like December have been doing this whole like new wave thing where they're finally pushing a bunch of the younger wrestlers that people have been waiting for, and it's kind of like as he was putting it, it's like COVID almost killed this company. There's none of the people left who they used to be able to rely on, but now the crowds are back. They can finally get behind these young wrestlers, and it doesn't just have to be a recent Nakajima
Hmm.
versus, insert freelancer here that
The
is
what?
already over. They can now get people over, and I just thought that was interesting. Like Seedling have done it, Marvelous have done it, and now I think Stardom is doing it to where they're just getting a lot more dynamic in how they do things because they're not playing to clap crowds and clap crowds only. Like they have an actual way of seeing who is over in the moment. You know, I just think it's changed everything.
Hmm. No, I can totally see that, and I think you probably can see it easier on
Hmm.
indie shows. You know what I mean? Like except for maybe Wave, because Wave is kind of in a
Yeah.
rock and a hard place type of thing, because they're waiting on Kohaku, but they don't really have anybody else.
Yeah.
So they're waiting on Nozaki as a result, and they have Shida, and like that like that's a whole nother discussion. I love Wave, but that's a whole thing. But it is easier to see in the indies probably because it's so
Hmm.
built in, right? Indie companies have such a built-in roster, uh, and just like such a built-in situation, and have for COVID, that now it's like they're finally like, okay, let's push forward through this. And I do agree. I think Stardom is interesting because the MIRAI win, right,
Yep.
which we're diving into now with the TAM match, it felt so right. You know what I mean? Even though booking logic, Rossi logic, this is like such a
Hmm.
fucked road to get here. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for this to still be a hot match, a hot win for Mirai. Uh, but it was, and I think that sometimes Rossi has what's best in his mind. I don't always I don't always say that. I don't always, agree with how he does things, but I will say with the Mirai win, for example, and with the Saki stuff, which I was not expecting to be as like for me to have a favorable opinion of. I just love what he's doing right now. So yeah, I'll give him that credit because he is adjusting to post COVID very well, a lot better than I thought he was. He's trying to build something in the first half of the year that I did not understand. As the past few weeks have kind of played out, I'm starting to
Yeah,
get it a bit
he's
more.
picked it up
You know what I
at
mean?
the best time. But as you were saying, the next match was a Wonder of Stardom Championship match. Mirai beat Tam Nakano with a Miramari shock in 22 minutes to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Tam Nakano loses the belt on her first defense attempt.
Well, I know it's
What?
fucked up. She still beat Mina's record,
That's crazy. Um,
36 to
oh
34
my goodness.
days.
Wow.
So fucked
That is
up.
terrible. Oh my god. Poor Mina.
And Mina had one of like the best, like maybe I didn't necessarily have it as the best match of the year, but her employee was like
Hmm.
absurdly good. and, and still, she's gonna go down in history as the shortest reign in Wonder of Stardom Championship history.
Yeah. There's been a bit of controversy around this switch. I think some people just they aren't into Mirai. Some people are Tam roaders. They didn't want Tam to lose. But I don't know how
People love being wrong.
yeah, I just don't know how you watch this performance from Mirai and come away thinking she shouldn't have won. Like
Yeah,
this was Mirai Mayumi. Like this was the TJPW girl who had the worlds of potential. Like this was her bringing something out that I haven't seen in her in a long, long time. Like she just had an energy about her that she hasn't had in Stardom for the entire match. Um, and not only that, but she was a great wrestler. She was really, really great in this match. Tam gave her all the room in the world to showcase herself. The match did peak early when they were just fucking hitting each other. And I was like, hell yeah.
yeah.
Like this started and they were throwing forearms and I was like, yes.
Oh, Mariah was going for the fucking throat,
Yeah,
man.
I was here for
Good
it.
Tam was here.
Yeah,
Good
Tam
Tam was
deserves a
here.
lot of
That
credit.
was
Yeah,
insane.
Tam has
100%.
been slandered a little bit too much for booking decisions. But she is a really good wrestler.
She can show up
And she
sometimes.
has some very high end matches, but definitely Mirai was given the room here to be great, and I thought she was great. She pulled out some new stuff when needed, but her general stuff was great, and it had a lot more passion. Is a terrible thing because of Nanai, but it had a lot
Passion,
more of that behind it. Even her lariats
intensity.
were just
Yeah.
a little bit more crisp. Even the cross body thing was just a little bit better. Like
The
everything.
high fly? Or wait, no. That's the
The
Aces
Ace
High.
is high, yeah. Like everything she did just had a little bit more oomph to it, because like she was clearly feeling herself with this one, and yeah, she put in probably her best performance that I've ever seen in the big spot, because she needed it here. Like if you weren't
I still think the Suzu match might be better.
as an in ring, I would probably agree, but as an overall, like she came off like a big
That's fair.
star. This was perfect.
Yeah, I say this with all due respect to Konosuke Takeshita. Mirai hit the greatest Take Lariat off the top rope I
Yeah.
have ever seen.
Credit to Tom for that
'Cause
bump.
he some yeah, oh, 100%. But like he sometimes hits it and it looks cool, but sometimes it just looks kind of clunky and doesn't really. Mirai understood how to do it the first time she's ever
Hmm.
done it. Killed it, landed on her feet. Tam died. Beautiful, one of the best spots in the match. There were a lot of good spots in the match. I do want to give a shout out to Velke, who I think Mirai was like closing in on a win, and he was like in the chat, he was like, "Oh my God, Mirai's actually about to win," and then like a half a second later, Tam got her in the head scissors,
Mm.
and was like in it for like a minute, and he's like, "I swear to fucking God,"
Yeah.
he like jinxed it. And it was such funny timing. Um, yeah, I just thought it was a really great. Mirai hit a fucking mule kick,
Oh my
bro.
god, yes. That was
Like,
incredible.
who does
At
that?
that point, I was like, if she doesn't win, I am actually gonna complain. Like, I'm rioting. She has to win after that. That was
Oh
incredible.
yeah,
Oh my god. She just,
like absurd.
oh man, that was great. Yeah, Tam was, I feel like we don't. I don't know. I don't want to forget Tam, but I was just so
I will
impressed by
say,
MIRAI.
uh, I talked to Scott about this, and we kind of like, because I was on a show for the immediate
Yeah.
outcome of this event. I think this might have been Tam's best singles title defense ever, because I don't think I liked any of her white belt matches. Um, the Mina match wasn't great, and this match was phenomenal. Because like most of her great singles matches have happened in the GP. So, yeah, I think this was probably Tam's best singles title defense. Maybe not best singles title match, because I think her against Shuri was up
Yeah.
there last year. Her and Saya last year as
Hmm.
well was their best match together. But it was definitely her best singles title defense ever, in my opinion. Because
Didn't
yeah, this
she
was just
defend
incredible
against
stuff from both of
Kid,
them.
or am I like completely crazy? Because that one was
She
pretty
did, and
cool.
that was
That one
good.
was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was good.
Um,
But I definitely
yeah.
have this
I
one
mean, in
over now.
fairness, if you're gonna have your best match with anyone, it's gonna be MIRAI. I mean, that's not a crazy take there to say her best defense might have been with MIRAI, especially a MIRAI on her game. Like that's of
Yeah.
course. But yeah, no, Cam, she lost with grace, as it's really all you can ask. She put MIRAI over really, really
Uh,
well. Like she,
who ended the show,
yeah,
Alex?
you know what I mean. But like she stared at the lights, and that's really all you can ask of anyone. Like your world champion just stared at the lights and let MIRAI control this match. Like that's really cool.
I was scared. Tam hit the
Yes.
screwdriver, and then like it took her a second, and I was like, if they Triple H
No,
Booker T
no.
this
See,
shit,
when she started selling the arm, I was like, oh my god, she's not gonna do it. She's not gonna do it.
no, yeah, I was too, but at the same time, when she went for the pin, I was like, they
Yeah.
better not. They might not pull some fucked up shit right now. And they didn't. It was just a good match. Like there was nothing particularly wrong with it. They did a ramp spot,
Mm.
which was fine. I mean, they do that, I guess, for some reason. Um, I don't know how. Oh yeah, Tam out teched Mirai in the early going, which is just not right.
Yeah.
Like she just like wrestled circles around her. I was like, how are you letting her do this, Mirai? You need to stop her. Um, but yeah, and I think the story also
Mhm.
worked because like Mirai was the baby face who was like, "You're kind of an asshole. Did you know that? Like, you're kind of a piece of shit." And Tam's like, "No, I'm not. I'm beautiful." And it's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're a narcissistic asshole. Um, and then she just beat her for it. Like she punished her for it, and it was great. And then after the match, Tam was still like, there, like she was like a little asshole,
That
a
was
little sore
peak
loser.
Tam though. That
And I
is
thought that was
how
great.
Tam operates, and
Yeah.
I thought that was
No, yeah,
her
100%.
like, okay, it's all yours now. Didn't she do this? Didn't she do that exact same expression to Arisa at one point when Arisa?
She did that to Arisa, Giulia, and now Mirai. Those are
Okay,
the three that I remember.
that is a pretty selective club for Mirai to join. In fairness, so yeah, I
Yeah.
think Tam did a lot of the stuff that you need to do to really pass the torch.
It,
And I mean,
in hindsight, would you have rather a Mina loss here? Like Mina keeps the belt, defends it against somebody that's not Tam last
see,
month,
uh,
and then loses to Mirai here?
yeah, because I think Mina and Mariah
I
is
100%
like
would have. Yeah.
the best match possible. But that's just like a personal thing. I just think Mina
I
versus
also think there's a
Mariah would be the
story
best
there.
match. Well, I don't even know about that, but just to me, Mina and Mariah is like the best match they can do almost. So, of course, I would have wanted Mina and Mariah. But I mean, look, we got Tam, and it worked, and Tam put her over really well, and Mariah. Has been angling for this match, according to her, as she said so on Twitter and in the post match. So, with Mariah, I guess you can tie it into, if she wants to, she can be like, yeah, I beat Tam, and Tam is the reason I came to Stardom, and that can be a whole thing. So I guess from that perspective, yeah, Tam was a better choice. But I mean, listen, Mina and Mariah would have kicked ass. So of course, I would rather Mina
Yeah.
and Mariah. But I can't complain with what we got here. I thought it was pretty great.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Would have preferred Mina and Mirai. They do have the link with the TJPW stuff they dove into last
Yeah.
year. Did she do the fucking clown thing for Mirai? Am I remembering right?
No, I don't think so.
Was it not Mirai? 'Cause she did the clown thing.
I remember she did it with Himeka.
Okay, it was Omega. Um, but yeah, I mean, Mina and Mirai have like a built-in thing that I think they could have drawn to. I think it would have given Mina a bit more of a rub as a champion, and it didn't. Tam wouldn't have had to do the doubles title stuff. But that's all a me thing, I think. And I'm cool with either way. Uh, but yeah, I'm happy Mariah has the belt now. I'm excited for her 5-star now, and I'm excited for just the white belt to be in circulation again. We can get it onto the
Yeah.
Hazukis soon. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to. We don't. I don't have to feel like I'm in like everlasting pain of like. Okay, so Tam has it, so now I have to wait for somebody to beat Tam before somebody like want to win the white belt to get the white belt type of thing. And I love Mariah. I'm happy she has the white belt, but you get what I mean.
Yes. But yeah, I mean this Mirai reign is gonna be very interesting because if there's anybody who should get the Saya Kamatani treatment, it is her. Like just
Mm,
let her go and win a lot. Um, but I don't know if they want to go back to that so
I don't
soon
think they
after.
can. I think they need to cut it off at like 8 defenses tops.
Yeah, maybe
Like that.
V8, but that like
Eight's
does
even
that
a
take
bit
it to
much.
March? Are we
Yeah,
thinking spring? Do you do the spring big show?
probably because I mean it's hard to take it off of her in December.
December?
Maybe
Yeah,
Triangle Derby final, which is like late late
mm,
winter, before
possibly.
March. I could see that. Uh, if they do Triangle Derby again, which I imagine they are, something like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like spring might be a long ways away. Um, but at the same time, if it gets her 5 to 8 defenses and that takes her to spring, I get it. Um, it's hard because who does she defend against? Like we were talking about last week, it's like you don't want to put, like I said, a Hazuki or a Micah in there to lose again. I feel like those are like the two go-tos every time. You kind of need to pull some new people up and have them
yeah. Well,
challenge.
she has a custom made um what's it? Mai Sakurai and Suzu.
Yeah,
Those two feel like locks to happen.
me and Scott were also talking about Hanan. It feels like Hanan could get her first wipeout
Yeah,
match against
because
Mirai.
her and Hanan have done
Yeah.
a few bits, so you could do that. I do kind of run out of names after that. I will
Mm,
admit. I guess you could do an away to tie challenge from somebody there, because they
mm.
are feuding with God's Eye now. So you might get like a Tora or a Kid to challenge Mirai.
Does Shuri
Um,
or Ami challenge?
Probably not. Probably not. I
Yeah.
don't even think DDM would challenge outside of Mai. So you are looking at Stars then, and well, I know you don't want certain people from Stars to lose again, but that's kind of the
It's just
direction you're
Suzuki.
looking.
It's just
Yeah,
Suzuki. She
and I
like
mean Saya Kamatani's not dipping back into this. I wouldn't
no.
imagine. So
Azumi, we
yeah,
were
yeah,
talking about Azumi. Azumi and Kid are the two other ones that could.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, and Nanai, obviously Nanai, just
that would
like
be
her.
fun. That
Yeah,
would be fun.
so you could get like 5 or 6 pretty easily without stretching anything. Um, so I'm sure they'll be fine.
Mariah
I don't
May
think
also could.
she could. I'd be here for it. Although I don't know if she's ever getting any singles titles matches. I mean,
We'll
they've
see
been
with the
waiting on.
5-star.
Yeah.
We'll see with the 5-star.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But long live Mirai. I think did she really put herself all into the.
Alex, the real question: do you smell what Mariah is cooking? Mariah says, Mariah, Mariah
I'm
says,
I'm so
Mariah
glad that that's.
says.
I mean, if it works, that'll be our intro for this week because I think it's incredible. Um, yeah, that's all for that match. Mirai, very happy to see her as champion, and I thought they did a good job putting her over
The
here.
future is now. The future
Yeah.
is now, Alex. Mariah
Um,
means future. Right. That's just
of course. Yeah. The main event end of the show was an Indian strap match. Sorei Anou beats Natsupoi in 26.5 minutes with one lap of the ring.
it's
Um,
so crazy that Mariah's big win went under this. Like I get why,
yeah.
because they needed Tam out there at the end, but that's so not cool.
Yeah. Well, I saw the reactions to this match going down because I didn't watch it as it was happening. I can't remember what I did instead. But I didn't watch it. And it was just very interesting. People were like, please end this. Please, for the love of God, save me. Like, please help. I was like, is it really that bad? Like,
No.
it reminded me of the reactions to that Edge Randy Orton match where
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Dave Meltzer was like, I was willing to confess to war crimes if they ended this. Like, please put me out of my suffering. Um,
This was not that bad. Like it wasn't a good match. Like I did not like it,
yeah.
but it wasn't. like people were saying this was like one of the worst Stardom matches, Stardom main events, ever, or at least like since they've started watching. I'm just like, there's no way you really mean that.
It
Like, it's
definitely is. Like,
really.
I mean, pay-per-view main events. What would really be worse than this?
Hmm. Giulia Sherry didn't main event, did they?
No.
See, that's the thing is that so many of like the terrible matches have been in semi-main events. So it's
Yes,
like,
that's why they said
so
specifically worst main event. So
pay-per-view main event is also
yeah,
difficult because I like my go-to is the Poi Natspoi match or the Poi kid match
was that
that was on
even?
Cork and
Oh yeah, I mean that
live.
doesn't really count though. But even then, I think that was better than this.
There's no, it was not better than
Yeah,
this.
it was. It kind of was. I don't know. I mean, I didn't hate this as much as most people did. Maybe because I went into it expecting it to be like Ultimate Warrior going 30 minutes. But I definitely was left disappointed because I think there was actually an excellent match in there because they
Mhm.
were beating each other up, they were throwing each other on their heads, like they were doing crazy shit, and then you just kept having to do silly stuff, and they kept stretching the match out. Like there was a point where there was a bunch of head drops. I think Natsupoi pinned
Yes.
Anou, and I was like, if they ended it here, this would have been great.
Oh, there were so many points with that. I
Yeah.
mean, Ano uh got Poi in a head arm and leg choke.
Hmm.
That was just like the most absurd submission I've ever seen. I've seen since like Kagetsu killed Hazuki, um, which was a crazy submission by the way. And I was like, oh, just end it there. She's dead
Yeah.
now. But then she just let go, and Natsupoi got back up, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like it was kind of, and I think the thing is that like the second half of the match had its own problems.
Mm.
The first half of the match, the problem was the strap because they just wrestled and they just had to kind of wrestle around the strap. Like it started with a collar and elbow tie up, which, if you know me, no, that's not how we do things. That's not how a strap match begins, is with a collar and elbow tie up. Um, and yeah, a lot of Poi's offense just didn't work with the strap being there. She did debut new gear. It looks perfect for the
Hmm.
third string of an artist trio. Um, it's a little dig. I wrote that down. I was like, ooh, that's a good one. Little zinger. Yeah, Natsupoi was like running the ropes. You don't
Yeah, the
you don't
strap was
do that
like
in a strap
the
match.
strap was comically long. I like, and I get that they
Yes.
had to do their top rope moves and whatever, but at a certain point you were
Yeah.
like, this is not inhibiting either wrestler. Like they could just have a match here. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, we knew why they did the strap. Nobody really loses considering they both pinned each other, and it was just a
And they
case
explained
of yeah,
afterwards with like the
yeah,
gimmick of
yeah,
like, oh well, we've been bonded this entire time. We're stuck together.
yeah.
Like that's kind of like
So I,
what, and it's like a funny joke, but they had
yeah,
to do like they committed to such an okay
I
bit
know,
for
I know.
20 something minutes
So
of a that's
did
crazy.
they did kind of like build to that moment because they were going crazy on each other, and you can see how they would have earned each other's respect. But it definitely isn't
Mhm.
something that needed the strap. The strap was just there to protect the both of them because Natsupoi has to go and lose to Chihiro Hashimoto next weekend, and she has to look somewhat strong. Like that was it. So, like we knew that was why the strap was there. We said whoever wins doesn't really matter, and we were proven right because they both just went, "Hey, we're cool now, and we're both great. How about it?" And
Which some people hated. I didn't mind that. Like I've said, I think sometimes factions shouldn't just break up because they accidentally hit each other one
yeah,
time. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like I always thought that was one thing, even before, like in the peak era, quote unquote, of Stardom. For me, that was one thing I always hated. Was that it's like, bro, just make up. Like it's not that big of a fucking deal. This is such a lame way to like ruin something really fun. So I do like that they were just like, you know what, we fucked each other up, but I love you, homie. I love you too, homie. And they kissed and
yeah.
made up. You know what I mean? I
Cosmic
like
Angel
that
stood
sometimes.
tall to end the show, um, as
Crazy.
it should. But yeah, I mean, this was just filling time. Really, it was that was kind of what this was. I don't even feel like Natsupoi leveled up because I think any leveling up she could have
No.
done was the Mina challenge. Like that put her on a pedestal basically because it was so great. So all this was just a win for Anou and reaffirming her commitment to Cosmic Angels, and that'll stand until she wants to beat the crap out of Tam.
She said the delicious. She said the thing
Good, she's into it
for the
for
first
now.
time. Kind of.
Yeah.
No, I think, and I know that we're running long, but excuse me. I think this match kind of like brought something to my mind about gimmick matches in Stardom is that they work well when there's like an understanding of the limitations. Like the point of gimmick matches is to put on either free you from the limitations of a standard match or to limit them even more to make it even more concise and more like unique. And I really like that as a fundamental like, thought process and why there are stipulation matches. If the strap was shorter and they were actually forced to wrestle a completely different match than what they normally would, I think I would have liked this more. Even if it would have stopped them from doing some of the cool spots they had, I think that that limitation not only creates the room for another match, it also makes it a different match and not just them wrestling around the stipulation. I think that's the worst way you could do a stipulation match is wrestling around it and just kind of like trying to you know, oh yeah, this is here, but that's not what matters. It's like what matters is we're wrestling a wrestling match. That's the worst way to do a stipulation match, in my opinion. So I think that was the biggest flaw of this match. Because I thought the match itself was fine. Like their action was okay. Once they started getting into like actually using the strap, it definitely got better, but I still think near the end it was like, okay, you can finish this now. You can stop. We don't need to continue. You can stop, and they just didn't. Um, but I didn't think it was as bad as most people thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I know it was just a means to an end. I mean, the build up
Mhm.
was to Sorei Anou calling her Natsupoi because until now she's kind of been calling her Natsumi.
Which after in the post match, behind at the uh, backstage, she was like, "By the way, I'm still calling you Natsumi. That's just
Mhm.
I just have to, bro.
I feel like
It's
there's
necessary. That's
some
just what I do."
really under the radar character stuff going on from Anou because in the backstage thing they were like oh you knew the choreography, didn't you? I bet you were practicing, and Anou was just like, shut up. I'm practicing.
And that's was like she definitely
Yeah.
was. She definitely
So
was.
I mean, there's some really fun character work going on with her there if you like pay attention. And yeah, the
One more thing about this is that I am a lot like Anu, which since it's the 150th episode, I'll take y'all back on a little history tour
oh
for a
lovely.
second. When Natsupoi first debuted in Stardom, I said that is a stupid name. I'm calling her Natsumi Maki. that was it for like the first like 2 months that she was around. I was like, that is such a stupid fucking name. I am calling her by her actual name. I'm calling her Natsumi because Natsupoi is a stupid name.
Hmm.
And eventually I just got over it. I was like, whatever, it's easier. And so Anu coming in and being like, Natsupoi is a stupid name. I'm calling you Natsumi is very funny. And I relate to her in a certain way. So shouts out, sorry, Anu. Love
Yeah,
her.
she's great.
Also, Unimon seemingly was added to the group. Like they included her far more than they have been. Uh, but
Yeah, well, she
that's a
lost
whole
the
thing.
weight, so I think Tam has no issue with her anymore.
So fucked up. So fucked up.
Pretty much. I almost forgot we have review, so I think that's all for the review part. It was a decent pay-per-view. I didn't hate it,
Not as good as the week before, but it,
of
it had
course.
it has values.
Yeah,
There's some fun stuff on it.
that is valid. Now let's see. We have two shows coming up this weekend. The first is on the 8th of July, Stardom in Fuji. The card is as follows. Now, do they have the right card here?
We have
Because I know
three.
they
We have three.
changed it.
There's a show the 12th.
Okay, they don't have the right card for this, so let me go
Oh,
get the right one. Because they didn't add Momo Kogo, because they thought she wasn't going to be on the shows, and then they were like, oh, actually, she is on the shows. We messed up. So, um, they've added Momo Kogo
ooh,
to the shows this
ooh.
weekend. Oh
Sucks
no.
that like we're not gonna see like any of these
Oh, is
shows.
she off the one on the 8th? Is she actually not on that one? I guess.
Doesn't look like she's on any of them actually.
Well, that's what they changed. It's not in the
Oh no,
it's
she's
not
here.
on the
She's here.
schedule.
Okay.
So I guess she is off the show on the 8th. Yeah. All right. Cool. That's
She's
great.
on the scheduled show on the 12th.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she's just not on the 8th. Okay. So they do have the right card. I thought she was on that show now, but wasn't originally. But she is. She is still off it. Okay. This is great. Anyway, the opening match of this show is
Oh boy.
please, hello, please go down.
Hanako versus Momo Watanabe.
Oh, thanks. Okay, yeah, that's crazy that Hanako's the best wrestler in that one now. And well, Watanabe is gonna win.
You know what? The fucked up thing is that I am more excited for Hanako than I am Momo Watanabe in this match. Or yeah,
Yeah.
that's sad. That's really sad actually.
The match after that is Koguma and Saida versus Miyu Amasaki and Aya Sakura. Even
Finally taking
even
dubs.
Saida could not drag her team to a loss here. Like this is the Stars win.
Fine. We here.
The next match then is Mirai, Ami Sorei, and Saki Kashima of God's Eye versus Natsuko Tora, Starlight Kid, and Raka of Oedo Tai.
I love this.
Oedo Tai
I
might
just
just
love Saki with.
Oedo Tai might just beat Saki on every show, and I think that'd be really funny. So let's go
I could
for
see
it.
Kid pinning Saki and being like the millionth high speed wrestler to beat Saki,
Yes.
and even if she doesn't challenge, just making it a bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um,
I'm here for it.
yeah,
The next match then
finally.
is Giulia, Mai Sakurai, and Tekla versus Saya Kamatani, Azumi, and the modern day Kenta Kobashi, Lady C. Yeah.
That's not even the wrestler that she's trying to be. That's
Yeah, but
crazy.
you know, she's just that good since the cage match. she's Kobashi. Yeah, DDM winning, I guess. I mean, that is the Artist of Stardom Champions, so
Yeah, you can't really beat
yeah.
them.
The match after that is Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Hanan versus Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori. It's a Unimon loss, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like Kazuki over Unimon would make
yeah,
sense.
that's true.
They just ran that singles recently.
That's true. And then our main event, we have Maika, Suzu Suzuki, and Mei Sarah versus Waka Tsukiyama, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa. And that is probably a win for Maika and friends. Yeah.
Yes. I think Suzu's only lost like 2 matches.
Yeah.
Like even tag matches since she's been in Stardom.
We
full
love
time.
protection.
Mm.
The next show then is in Korakuen Hall. This is on the 9th of July. The opener is, does this one have Momokogo on it? Why do I get halfway through and then the website is just like, haha.
Momokogo
Okay,
is on
she
it.
is, alright.
Oh, she's in a fun
Yes.
match. Yeah.
So our opener, I pointed this one out on Twitter a few days ago because I was like, this is
Yeah, I
incredible.
laughed at
It's
it.
Hina and Aya Sakura versus Fukigen Death and Chairman Ram. Incredible stuff. Incredible. Chairman Ram and Fukigen are winning because between them they have about 50 years of experience. And I do not think Aya and Hina combined have an age of 50. So,
They don't.
no. Alright.
Unless I is like 35.
Yeah, I actually don't know
36.
how old Aya is. I think she's young enough though. Because she was a young judo karate kid.
Karate.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
There's no.
The veterans win.
So yeah,
Okay, yeah. So
definitely.
yeah, so the veterans are winning. The match after that then is FWC versus Wingori.
Ooh.
This is for you.
Ooh.
This is for you and
It's
Spanner.
a me match.
This is for you.
It's all about
This
me.
is just for you and Spanner.
The best tag team in the company against
You have to decide now.
I
You're
can't even.
trying
I
to make
can't.
a decision.
No, I can't. I can't even make that
Yeah.
joke. No, it's the best. It's the best tag team in the company against Ida and Hanan,
Yeah.
who are also like a really good tag team together. I think
FWC
they're
are
great.
winning though.
Yes, but I'm super excited to see this
That is
match.
fair. The next match is Mei Sarah versus Momokogo. I mean, Mei Sarah is gonna win that.
Yes, but it's another Momokogo getting some reps high speed.
That is
which I
true.
always
That
like.
is true. The match after that is Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, and Lady C versus Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Raka. Poor Azumi is thrown to the wolves here. Yeah, they're losing.
She always is.
That is true.
She always
But
is.
this one's extra egregious.
She got the finger gun out. Look at that.
Good for her. The next match is Mai Sakurai and Tekla versus Nanai Takahashi and Hanako. And I would imagine
New 7-Up. This is real.
yes,
This
I
is
need
real
it.
grabs right here.
So I would imagine Nanai wins. I hope she pins Mai, and it's just like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
I feel like Hanako has to
No.
take the. L
No.
here. She shouldn't. She shouldn't. Let
I
me
think the
preface that.
night
She shouldn't.
pinning Mai would continue her just being like, I'm so disappointed in you as a human.
As are we all.
All
Yeah, that'd be
right.
fun.
The match after that then,
Neo 7-Up is just so
we love it.
based.
Then we have Natsupoi, Sorei, Anou, and Yuna Mizumori versus Mina Shirakawa, Mariah May, and Waka Tsukiyama. Either of the pin eaters could eat a pin. I don't really know.
They are positioning Cosmic Angels and Club Venus against each other a lot.
Yeah,
Just a
that's the
note.
feud.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's over Waka.
Yeah, I guess it's either
This
her or
is this
Yuna.
this is
Really,
rough
like
for Club Venus.
it's not a whole lot there.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yuna's better though. So let's run
Whoa, hold on here now. Hold on. That's crazy.
let's run
That is crazy.
with Koza.
Okay.
I'm not. There's no way you were saying that Waka is better than Yuna. Yuna is so good.
Yeah, but Waka's cool too.
Exactly. She's cool
All
too.
right.
Like
Fine. I'll let you have this one. The next match is Ami Sorei and Saki Kashima versus Starlight Kid and Rina. I mean, I have to imagine Ami and Saki will win because I
yeah.
mean, Ami is somewhat more than Rina. Even though Rina did beat Ami, it was with cheating, so you can,
It was with Saki's
yeah.
help, in fact.
Wow.
I feel like this is the Saki arena. This is where
Oh,
something
maybe. Yeah, that'd be
occurs. It's
interesting.
Korakuen Hall.
Yeah.
It's Korakuen Hall. They like to kind of build
Dude,
things
Rina to
more
God's
in
Eye is
Korakuen,
so
so I
funny.
definitely see that.
I don't know why, but it's
I don't think they're doing it,
well, yeah.
but it would be pretty funny.
The main event then of the show is a generational struggle elimination match. We have Tam Nakano, Mayu Iwatani, Suri, and Giulia versus Saya Kamatani, Maika, Mirai, and Suzu Suzuki. Yeah, I have to
Elimination match.
imagine either Tam or Suzu or Tam or Mirai get challengers after this because neither of them got challenged at the pay-per-view, and we have an Osaka.
When's the
The
next
Osaka show is not that
yeah,
far
when's the
away.
Osaka show?
Like, um, isn't it early August?
Stardom is 13th
Yeah,
of August,
so
yeah.
I mean, you
So
can't
that's a
wait
month
until
away.
the day one of GP to set that stuff up. You kind of have to do it now. So
Yeah, and I feel like they like to kind of have things
yeah,
set before the GP for that sort of thing, unless it's like, you know, something
yeah.
that's time sensitive.
So I don't really know who challenges who. I feel like I was saying Mirai defending against Suzu would be a good V1, but would they do that after being on the same team? Um, does Tam get challenged by
Yes.
Saya
Yeah.
Kamatani maybe? Are they going to save that? Because Saya could win the GP, and if she lost to Tam now, it would kind of give it away that she isn't winning the GP. Are they throwing Micah out there? I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'm very interested.
I could see them doing two inner factions and doing like Shuri challenge Tam. Are they facing in the? Yeah, they are.
Mm.
So maybe not that. Um, but I could see a Shuri Tam and then a Suzu Mirai, like them kind of like going
Yeah.
intergenerational type of thing. Um, I don't see Suzu Tam. I mean, I feel like we keep guessing that it's gonna be Kyrie Tam at some point. Um, because it feels like a
Yes.
match they would want to run back, but I don't know when Kyrie's coming back around because
If it
she
was
kind of
anywhere, it would be an
just
Osaka pay-per-view, you'd imagine.
yeah, and I mean it's a Korakuen, so it's not like she has
Yeah,
to
she shows up
go
on
very
Corkins
far.
just
Like it's in
for fun.
Tokyo.
Like it's yeah. So it
Yeah,
might be Kyrie, but then I don't know who challenges Mirai, but that'll be
I think it might be
could
Suzu
be.
Murai.
I don't know. I will have to. We'll have to
Um,
wait and see.
it's my Sakurai. Yeah, no, because like one thing about Stardom, and I know we're going over time, we always do.
Sure, overtime this time
But
because we started early.
is that yeah. Um, But I think one thing they usually do is if somebody in the undercard is going
Mhm.
to challenge somebody, one of the main eventers, they're going to win their match. So I'm looking at like these undercard matches, and I don't see a lot of like, please don't tell me it's fucking Hazuki. Like, that's where we're at. That's where we're at because that's the definite winner over a pin eater uh, on this show. Might be Nanai against
Yeah,
Mirai. I could see them running it back and just doing Nanai Mirai and
that's what
Kyrie
I threw out there.
Tam. same as they did last year. But that is the exact same as they did last year with except swapping the titles. But the same challengers. So I don't know if they would run that, but I would be cool with
That
that.
is fair. We will have to wait and see though, because I mean, I just can't really guess anymore. The next show then is on the 12th of July. It's next Wednesday. This is Stardom from the North Country, Ishikawa tournament in Hokkaido in the roadside station Asahikawa.
That's Taichi's.
Yeah.
That's Taichi's
So
hometown.
they're
Ishikawa.
touring the north, like the far north. We are never seeing this shit. Like this will be up in the middle of the GP. But we'll look at it anyway. The opening match is Battle Bear versus Momokogo
Oh,
versus Miyu Amasaki. I'm gonna assume Battle Bear is Koguma.
Battle Bear.
Okay, that's great.
It's Koguma.
Koguma's winning.
I thought you were just. I thought you were
No,
just
I'm just
making a new
I was
nickname for it. I
reading
was like,
translations.
interesting.
But I think Koguma wins. Then we have Hanako and Aya Sakura versus Natsuko Tora
Yeah.
and Momo Watanabe, and that is an Uedo Tai win.
Poor girls.
We then have MIRAI, Ami Sorei, and Saki Kashima versus Sayaka Mitani, Azumi, and Lady C.
Does
I
Saki
hope
get new
not.
gear?
God's Eye winning?
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's Lady C. It's, then we have
Yeah.
Suzu and Mei Sarah versus Starlight Kid and Rocka. And I guess Rocka's going to lose.
Well,
Yeah,
Shuri's
she's
off this show.
filming, I think. Her and Momokogo. They're off it. Oh, no, Momokogo's on it. Oh. I know.
Yeah. I think Shuri has a bigger role in
Yeah,
it though
that's
than
true. Yeah, I know she
Momokogo,
missed a
doesn't she?
show the other day for filming.
Like she's like she's playing
Yeah,
like Kyrie or something,
something out there.
or like maybe not Kyrie,
Yeah,
but like elder wrestler. Which Kyrie is an elder to Mayu, but
yeah.
maybe Io. She's playing something important. Sorry, Brett.
All right. The next match then is Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Yuna Mizumori versus Mina Shirakawa, Waka Tsukiyama, and Mariah
You
May.
skipped one, by the way.
No, I didn't.
The young OAD versus
I said that. I said
but that's
Rock is gonna
happening.
lose.
Oh, yeah, Rock is gonna lose. Sorry.
You were so focused on Siri, you just ignored me. Crazy.
It happens. Love Shuri.
All right. I don't know who's losing this trios match. I guess they might flip. You know, if Waka loses a Cork and Yuna loses here, Yuna loses a Cork and Waka loses here, you know, they might like flip flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the main event then is the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Saida, Hanan, and Hazuki versus the Don Del Mondo team of Maika, Giulia, Tekla, and Mai Sakurai.
That is
And
tough.
yes, Saida, get ready to stare them lights, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I said it on Twitter. Ida needs to start teaming with like Sky Blue or something, because Momokogo started getting the rub after she started associated with Willow. We need to get some random AEW wrestler to team with Ida and make her win sometimes, because Suzuki and Mayu apparently can't do it for her.
That is valid. Anyway, that is
That's
the
the show.
shows to preview. The company is touring the north a lot, so the next few shows are going to be really bad. So
But
have fun.
next
We have a
week
Corkin.
we have
Yes,
yes,
5-star
no,
Grand Prix.
the 5-star Grand Prix preview
Yes.
with hopefully special guest.
Yeah, he's agreed to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, Scott.
And
I
if
don't know
not,
why we're being secretive. It's Scott.
well, because Scott is always
But he's committed to it now. He's doing it.
yes,
He likes it or not. So
we're forcing him.
yeah,
It's the yearly, it's the annual, uh,
the best.
the 3 men. Yeah.
5-star Grand Prix preview.
Oh man, that was a long recording. I'm tired. That's not
So am I.
usual.
It's man, 2 hours is a lot for anyone. But
It's
yeah,
always a pleasure though.
I think it's very typical that our 150th episode goes this long because we never stop talking. So
It's unfortunate because like I have so many notes from like basically every show that we've ever done.
yeah,
Um, that like I could go down memory lane and I was going to, but there was just so much shit this week
yeah.
that
I
I was
mean,
like, man, I was
I
gonna
I
like
could leave and you could just like go ahead, but probably not a great idea.
Do you want to know what the first match we ever? I'm sure I've said this before. The first match I ever noted down that like we reviewed.
What is it?
Starlight Kid versus Death Yamasan.
Oh, God bless. We
It was less than 5 minutes, and it was a high speed match, and Kid
alright.
won.
We
And then it
have
was like a
been
really
through it.
mediocre Izumi Ida match.
Right.
This 5-star was fucking absurd.
I told that 5-star was bad. Post-COVID Stardom
Micah
was a
won with
fever
the
dream.
kata hajime. That was crazy. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Micah beat Momo, and everybody was like, "Oh no!" That was like that was when Momo's booking was like on the downtrend, like very drastically.
Yeah.
Um, Sherry Natsuko happened. That's crazy. It's crazy to look back. We won't too much because obviously, um, you know, Jumbo called Tam ugly. Uh, yeah.
I can leave if you want. Like, you can just, like, go through them.
No, I just wanted to look at some of the
Okay.
stuff from the first
Alright.
episode. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That
No,
was it was
I
just a
I
quick
know.
little
I
thing.
just you could, like, go through it. I could just, like, come back when I'm done. Like, you'd still be here.
Yeah, but we're cool. We're cool.
Alright,
We can
that's
go.
cool. Alright. Anyway, with that, it is time to close the show. If you want to stand, you may stand. If you want to sit, you may sit. Believe today, shine tomorrow. You decide what you believe in. Ijo.
Ijo.